Las Vegas, Nevada, the city of lights. And tonight, those lights are of the Friday night variety. It is game time in Las Vegas as neighboring state champions, the Tigers from Orem, Utah, colliding with the national powerhouse Gaels of Bishop Gorman. For the Gaels, their season opener, they'll be going up against a defense missing Noah Sewell. We'll have more on that in just a little bit as we welcome you in here on Game Time. And your view, Lincoln Rose, along with former Princeton running back Steve Foster. And Steve, we talked about finally high school football is here. Now Orem opened their season last weekend for the Gaels, their home opener and season opener tonight. But these are a couple of powerhouses colliding this evening.
Yes, and it's great to see this type of competition when it doesn't count for your district play and going to a state championship in your respective states, but you want to play the best teams you can all season.
Well, we take a look at this matchup. Second straight year that these two teams are colliding. What will it take for the Tigers to come into the House of the Gaels and pick up a win tonight?
First of all, they got to be physical. They got to push this home team around. That's going to be a big challenge considering that there are some injuries. And then second, you got to improve the communication given the fact that there are several new players.
As for the home side, how do they delight the fans?
Well, something I love, run the ball. Be dominant there on the line of scrimmage. He who wins the line of scrimmage wins the game, and then the turnover battle. 5 points of protection on that football.
Take a look at our key matchup. And, well, for Orem, typically we'd be, of course, talking about Noah Sewell. Instead, it's who's going to step up. One of those men has to be Jaden Ayu.
Well, he's got a 2 on his jersey, but a 4 in front, and he is a linebacker / tight end as well. He already has offers from Arizona State Navy.
And, of course, he will be staring down the opposing quarterback, the man who committed this past offseason to Penn State, Micah Bowens, the senior.
Yeah, and he's the playmaker, number one, a lot of confidence, and he's at home tonight.
10-time state champion Bishop Gorman defending their house in their season opener tonight against the back-to-back state champ from Utah, Orem, in town.
I didn't tell you guys about the game the other day. My seats were right behind me.
You're not thinking about if you set the alarm before leaving the house. You're thinking about how you caught the home run that extended the series to 7. You're thinking you finally have a baseball story to rival theirs. You're thinking about how you caught the ball barehanded without spilling a drop. You're not thinking about if you set the alarm. Well, maybe just a little. Stay close to the moments that matter. Cox Home Life will take care of the rest.
Join Jane Manzuras on Creative Living as she shares fun and inspiring ideas for enriching your life.
I'm Jane Manzuras, and on the next Creative Living, it's back to school time. We'll have tips to ease you back into the school year.
Plus, we hop in a Subaru to visit Dig This Las Vegas, where we try out a completely different kind of ride. Watch Creative Living, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday on Your View. Brought to you by Subaru of Las Vegas.
With Cox high-speed internet, you get access to super-fast in-home Wi-Fi to power all your devices and do the things you love online. And now, when you're traveling, you have free access to the nation's largest Wi-Fi network with over 500,000 hotspots, so you can stay connected in places such as New York City, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Phoenix, and many more. Learn how with the Cox Discover More video series at cox.com/learn.
Gael fans packing the house for the season opener and home opener for the 10-time defending state champions here in Nevada. Their Gaels offense about to begin with the football, but first, before kickoff, a chance to check in for the first time tonight down on the sidelines with John Castanino. John?
Hey, Lincoln, good to be with you guys here on the sidelines. We're going to start with Orem and talk about their key to possibly come in here to Las Vegas and really get an upset against nationally ranked Bishop Gorman. To capitalize on it, they've got to take advantage of what they've already done, and that is play a game. They go and play Corner Canyon, one of the top teams in Utah. They lose that game, but they're ready at full speed. We talked to interim head coach Gabe Sewell, and he says the rust has been knocked out. These guys are ready to go, and coming in here to Gorman last year, also the starstruck factor of playing at Gorman is over with. But then you look on the other side, Kenny Sanchez and Bishop Gorman, only 7 days in full pads. That's not just Gorman, that's every school in the state of Nevada, really hamstrung as far as the number of full pads days they get. So in order to take advantage early, they've got to do it. Clearly, turnovers is a battle that coaches always want to win, but if there's a second key here for Orem, it's to come in there and knock Bishop Gorman back early. Lincoln?
John, thank you very much. Again, kickoff about to get underway here. Game time on your view as a couple of state champions. Last 2 years, Orem Tigers have won the final game of their campaign next door in Utah. They are coming off a season opening loss against another Utah state champion. And the penalty flag flies early on the kick as the Gaels at the moment were content beginning with the ball on the 25. Looks like the Tigers will tee it up again.
And that procedure penalty moves the ball back 5 yards. And an interesting field setup where the numbers literally completely down both sides of the football field. I'm not a big fan of the 5, but it helps especially, and you can see it's an offsides penalty as the gunner on the near side of Orem's sideline is offside, so 5 yards. Move them back and kick now from the 35.
That's our Kentucky Derby camera that we just went to right there. And take 2 on kicking off the 2019 campaign for Bishop Gorman. Underway in Las Vegas. Able to get a hold of this one. A big block laid out, looking for perhaps some fireworks early on. The offense for the Gaels will set up in Tiger territory as Cam Barfield. What a return with his blockers in place.
And I tell you, the missed opportunity to field the ball cleanly actually sets up very well for Gorman and Cam Barfield, and all of the Tigers run to one spot. And once Barfield gets past the initial onslaught of the bonsai team, the kickoff team, he's up to the midfield strike.
Take a look at the Gaels offense as Micah Bowen's back after his junior campaign, leading this squad to its 10th consecutive state title. So dangerous with his legs. This time will test his arm. This one fired downfield and incomplete.
But for a team where we spoke about their opportunities of dominating the line of scrimmage to run, the first play is a pass that could have been caught. It's off the helmet, and we didn't see a completion there. Michael Anderson had the opportunity.
Michael Anderson, last year they needed somebody to step up at safety, so he moved to the defensive side of the football. Limited action on offensive snaps 1 year ago. This year more natural as a receiver, but that one in and out of the hands.
And that's what you call encroachment. And in the neutral zone all at once. It's only going to be 5 yards. No matter what you say or call it, it's now 2nd and 5. Complimentary.
Just a little too eager to get to the quarterback as Vakahafi. 3 sacks last week. Was looking for an early one here. Gaels already threatening on the opening drive of 2019. Bowens. And speed will do the rest. Afterburners on for Zachariah Branch. And the Gaels are on the board for the first time in 2019.
Well, this is almost like a sweep left to the near side of Gorman's bench. A quick hitch pass in the slot. And then when you have a playmaker, as you mentioned, Zachariah Branch, just follow the block. There's too much speed on the edge. A very simple pass for Micah Bowens to complete, and good blocking out in front as the quick receivers get quick into the Orem Tigers defenders in secondary, and as mentioned, Branch does the rest.
First varsity touchdown for Branch, the freshman, with blazing speed.
Something you can't coach, Lincoln.
So the Gaels march down the field, able to topple Orem 1 year ago. Looking for back-to-back victories against the Utah State champions. Well, there's already a short field after the great return from Cam Barfield set it all up. But Micah Bowens with his first touchdown toss to the freshman as the senior dials up one of his newest weapons. You saw they're on the sideline again. One of the storylines, unfortunately for Orem tonight, for a second straight week, Noah Sewell in the boot. The Sewell who will have the biggest influence on tonight's game will be his dad, as Gabe Sewell steps in as your interim head coach tonight, as this is the final game in which head coach Jeremy Hill will have to sit out, as nobody catching Branch.
And I tell you, the freshman, even with the ball in the wrong arm, if you can't catch him, it doesn't matter. It's like flag. Just get in the end zone. I'm particular, Lincoln, about where you keep the ball, which arm.
I understand. Again, former Princeton running back. Princeton was your safety school, right?
Absolutely.
Tigers about to get the ball back. Where will they be setting up for their opening drive? They'll be pinned back around the 15-yard line. After, again, one of the Huron boys, that's Kane. Nothing doing.
Well, a great jaunt down the field by Gorman's kickoff coverage team. And when you don't get a chance to block that first wave, it's hard to make a move and get upfield, and you don't even get back to the 20 where you'd get the ball if you let the ball just go through the end zone.
Micah Fea, again, your new varsity quarterback this year, leads the offense out. Got his first start of the season in the opener last week, but was constantly under pressure from that talented line of Corner Canyon. And picking right back up this week, Fea dropped for a 5-yard loss. Gaels get to him in a hurry.
Yeah, Charles, the bandit linebacker, just runs past the offensive lineman, but the snap messes up all the timing, Lincoln, and that really gives, as I call this, the Micah Bowl, no opportunity for the quarterback to really set his feet and throw.
One of your keys was communication, and when we were talking this week to head coach Jeremy Hill, that includes the snap. You have a new center. 4 of those 5 starting offensive linemen are brand new starters on varsity this year. Just trying to get that yardage back. And it will be 3rd and long coming up for the Tigers, already down a touchdown.
Yeah, no gain there for certain. Number 24. And interestingly, Orem has played a game already. They lost to the state champs and the higher classification in Utah last week. However, the home field advantage already on Gorman's side, as they are showing tremendous pressure in the backfield against the Orem Tigers.
3rd and 11 for the Tigers. A chance for this Gaels defense to get a 3 and out. Fea has time, but he and his receiver not on the same page. Looking for Huron.
Yes, and either way, if they would have, being quarterback and receiver, synced up, there was enough yardage that could have been gained for a first down. Receiver goes in, ball goes towards the sideline. It falls harmlessly to the turf. However, if the communication, again, one of the keys, would have synced up receiver to quarterback, that could have been a first down completion.
Gaels want to guarantee a return. They have 2 men back. And when you draw up a punter, I know Josh Singh is exactly what you have in mind, the big man about to put his boot into this one.
He's the Luke Rosa version of the punter.
No fair catch. It's all fair game from here. Tripped up. Gaels will begin just outside the 30-yard line when they set up for their 2nd drive of the season. Already up a touchdown tonight.
You're watching Game Time on YourView. For more in-depth coverage of the top players around, recruiting updates, behind-the-scenes access, and more, check out yourview.com. YourView.com. You're watching Game Time on YourView. For more in-depth coverage of the top players around, recruiting updates, behind-the-scenes access, and more, check out yourview.com.
have you with us on this Your View Game Time Game of the Week. Lincoln Rose, Steve Foster with you. It was this morning that head coach Kenny Sanchez unveiled the new uniforms for the Gaels. When you're the 10-time champs, you've got some new threads. This time going with the Jordan apparel, those silver domes, and the all blue. Of course, Kenny Sanchez, he doubles as the defensive coordinator. His defense got a 3-and-out after the offense put up the touchdown. He follows head coach now at UNLV, Tony Sanchez, in the soon-to-be long lineage of Sanchez family and ties to this Gaels program. Of course, another brother, Bobby, still your special teams and receivers coach. Offense back on the field. Bowen's already a touchdown strike tonight. Wants it all on the first play. Just a tad long, looking for Rome Odunze. And that senior target is going to be the target of a lot of college football programs. One of the top wide receivers still available out there.
And this pass just airmailed, and I'm okay with Micah Bowens doing that because that pass couldn't have been thrown short. There was coverage underneath, but over top, as you mentioned, Rome was burning, and he was burning past the secondary.
2nd and 10 was their movement on the offense that brought the defense across the line. That is not the case. It's going to be another pre-snap penalty on the Tigers.
I just think, Lincoln, you mentioning the keys to the game has hurt the Orem Tigers because that communication and the pre-snap, you specifically mentioned pre-snap, and that right there is the 2nd pre-snap penalty by the Orem Tigers.
So it'll set up a very manageable 2nd and 5. You see the running back Cam Barfield joining Bowens in the backfield. Bowens keeps it. Bowens eyeing the end zone. A flag will come in. We'll see if the touchdown stands up. If it's holding, it's coming back.
And I don't think that penalty was truly necessary. It's Mike Bowens, smooth to the near side, and he caught the sideline express, a great fake into the line. As you mentioned, Cam Barfield sells the fake, and Orem goes right with the running back, and the quarterback pulls the ball and safely cruises down the sideline.
It will come back, but you got a glimpse of why Micah Bowens last year was just shy of 1,000 yards rushing.
And there was a breakdown in containment by the Orem defense. You cannot dip inside like that when you have such a playmaker as Micah Bowens, because when he keeps the ball, you're not going to be able to recover, spin, and make a play.
See if Bowens lines up under center here. I formation. As they put Josiah Shannon into the mix as a fullback. There's a hole. Barfield inside the 10-yard line. As Cam Barfield able to move the 6.
Barfield just following blocks, gets it inside between the guard and tackle, B gap, and then makes a little cut, breaks, realizes that he's about to be tackled, covers the ball, and gets good yardage.
I'll correct myself. It is 2nd down. Up the middle, easy churning. A big hole created from that offensive line, and it will be 1st and goal coming up now for Bishop Gorman.
Another inside handoff. This with a little misdirection, and the offensive line pulling to the left, and Barfield just following his blocks. It's simple. That's why I love playing the game as a running back, because they tell you where to go for the most part.
And Orem will burn its first time out here, the opening half.
This is their first call timeout.
Again, head coach Jeremy Hill doubles as the defensive coordinator. So for tonight, it's Coach Tuioti-Mariner. He and Coach Hill have, well, coached their kids for years together. So Abu steps in on the DC side. We will point out Coach Hill is in Las Vegas. He was able to attend the JV game last night, but he is comfortably back in the hotel, which means you and I have at least one viewer this evening.
It starts with somebody. Somebody has to be the first person. And Coach, unfortunately, again, I think he's right there with Tom Brady in getting suspended for some things that really don't have to be particular to a football contest. But, you know, I'm not the one that makes the rules.
I won't take the air out of your story. Student section, they've done their homework. They know how to cheer on the state champions and former national champions. First and goal for Bowens and this offense. Again, Bowens last year, 15 touchdowns on the ground, another 29 through the air, even caught a touchdown. What do they have in mind here? Nothing fancy. They just want to outpower the men in gold. And the Gaels are in for a second time tonight, this time on the ground. Cam Barfield with the punctuation.
And just a dive right through the A-gap. And Cam Barfield just powers in. Uses nice leg drive, too. Good blocking up front, but even better leg drive by the running back.
Missed the first extra point.
That one's good.
That'll split the sticks.
Lincoln, I like the helmets. Shiny. I like the helmets.
When Oregon introduced those at the Rose Bowl years ago, there was some controversy whether the other team could see or not. But we'll call those Ducks pioneers.
Well, you know, Notre Dame has a very shiny helmet now. You know, the matte paint look was big for a while too. So you have choices, and that's good during a football game.
Coach Sanchez with his Gaels, 2 for 2 on offense with touchdowns. They are not a team that would look to kick the ball anyways. You've got to pin them back pretty far for them to even consider punting the ball. Last year they only attempted 3 field goals all season. And this is a student section that likely will remain standing the entire night.
Is that by tradition or just by excitement in the stadium because of their team? That's the real question.
See the motto on the back of those helmets of family. And it really goes back to when Jeremy Hill was brought in as head coach of this program. He, a former state champion as an offensive lineman in his high school days with the Tigers. They had some down years. They bring him in, and it all started with mentality, embracing one another, bonding. And he has, again, helped them capture the last 2 state titles. Last week, their best drive was arguably their first drive against those other state champs from Utah in Corner Canyon. After that, the defense for Corner Canyon started to settle in against the new look offense for Orem. And they at least get some decent starting field position. No fair catch called for. And I say that, apparently there was. They'll bring it out to the 25.
Yes, and the biggest difference that I see so far, Lincoln, tonight, is the speed of the teams. Seems like Gorman is playing a lot faster than Orem.
Well, when you have won a state title every year as a head coach, Kenny Sanchez with this defense wanted to reinvent things this past offseason. He said, so often you don't reevaluate what you're doing as a head coach. You're so busy managing others that he wanted to change things up this year, go with an odd front, and really installed the new look defense this past spring.
Absolutely, and that gets more linebackers on the second level, those tacklers on the field, and they're very talented on that second level.
Fea did not have long to get rid of that football as he is swallowed up for the second time tonight.
And the flexibility of having the odd front allows some of the linebackers to come walk down as defensive ends and then look like an odd front with 5 instead of 3. And right there, the pressure and the mix-up by that defense created a lack of blocking by Orem and another sack and disruption in the backfield.
Alan Masake, the senior defensive end, picking up that last sack. They'll keep it on the ground, and nothing doing for one of the bright spots last week for Vertel. Caden Vertel last week on the receiving end of a tip drill had one of the biggest gains of the ball game. The next play he'd have a touchdown to follow, but here again engulfed by this defense as Connor Fryer right there waiting for him.
Yeah, then Connor Fryer just fights off the offensive block and just sits and stays home. A lot of times defenders, if you're an offensive player, you want them to chase. Right there, Fryer stayed home, found who had the ball, and made a good grasp and tackle right in the line of scrimmage. right in the hole in the line of scrimmage.
These fans will be much happier in the second half when play actually occurs on their end of the field. Fea, good protection. Airs it out, but again, he and his receivers not on the same page with the route. Again, looking downfield for Kanahiron.
Yeah, and right there, I think the quarterback was right. If this route was continued down the sideline as opposed to being, there's two reasons. One, you would be short of the first down if you catch the ball, but two, you had a little lead on the defensive back that may have even grabbed you and caused and created a penalty, but now it's a punt situation for Orem.
Josh Singh to punt. That is Rome Odunze back to return potentially. A low kick may still get the job done, as unable to field it cleanly. They will just let it go, and that means the worst starting field position of the night for the Gaels, back around their own 40-yard line.
Well, that statistically says that you may not get as much out of this drive, but so far, Bishop Gorman 2 for 2.
Only blemish tonight, a missed extra point so far on the first two possessions for Bishop Gorman. Lincoln Rose, Steve Foster, John Castanino with you tonight. Game time in Las Vegas.
Tell you, Micah Bowens.
Let's check back in with John down on the sidelines.
Yeah, hey guys, an update on Noah Sewell, the big 5-star linebacker. Clearly you see the scoreboard right now. Sorely missed here for the Orem team. Not playing today, and they want to make sure that he is 110%. Talking with both head coach Jeremy Hill and interim head coach, his father, Gabe Sewell. This kid has the potential. Clearly we know he's going to play on Saturdays. He may even play on Sundays, so they don't want to take any risks with this young man. So he is nursing that right foot injury. Again, number 2 for Orem. They want to make sure that he's good to go. So there's just really no, or there's too much risk here. He is on the downside of this injury, guys. So we do know that clearly he's going to play at some point. It's just not right now. And we know that Orem is sorely missing him out in the field right now.
And John, thank you. Obviously, they can afford to be cautious with him. They would want to for any reason, but because the beauty of high school football, you can go out and challenge your program against other top programs, and it's not going to affect your postseason hopes. That will all be determined once you get into district and league play.
Correct.
And last time that he carried the football, Cam Barfield went into the end zone for the touchdown. The sophomore tailback, one of several talented runners for the Gaels. Takes another clean handoff for Bowens.
Paxton skips with the tackle, but good yardage.
Second down for Bishop Gorman. Approaching midfield. Back to Barfield. Back in business into Tiger territory.
And in between the tackles goes the offense, and Cam Barfield is just following his blockers. Not a tall back, but you kind of like that because the shiftiness and the ability to hide. You know, there's nothing wrong with staying low and allowing that offensive line to get a push and then scoot through one of the gaps and running lanes as a running back.
Well, Bowens, 2 straight handoffs to his running back. Well, that set up his own number being called. This time puts the arm to use. And again, just a tad strong for Odunze, who has state track meet speed, but just can't catch up to that one.
No, again, I like the pass and where the pass has been thrown. But again, Micah Bowens, he's got to get in sync. He's about a step and a half off with his receiver, as mentioned. And the ball is thrown on a line that I like, where only his player can catch it, but now it's got to sync up. Either you throw it a little second later because the front line, the offensive front line is blocking well, giving Micah Bowens, the quarterback, time to pass in the pocket.
Odunze last year, 15 touchdowns, over 1,300 yards. Bowens keeps it, eludes one tackler, but able to come back and finish off the job. Joshua Singh, not just a punter, Steve.
No, he's a very mobile and adept defensive end. And I mean, at the size that Singh is, gets back up off the turf, does not give up on the play, and drags down Bowens for a loss.
Big junior D tackle.
And that's just motivation and attitude by that defensive end.
Gaels finally facing third down. Bowens goes underneath, has his man. First connection of the year with Odunze. Again, last year 60 catches, almost 100 yards per ball game.
The great thing about this pass is with the height of a receiver and when the ball was thrown, there was, again, only one person that would be able to catch the ball, and that time, the third time, was the charm.
30 yards out, Bowens keeps it. Able to step out of the tackle, but flags now will come in. And let's see if one of his teammates impermissibly bought him a little bit of time.
I think so, and good pursuit inside out by the Orem defense as they did not give up again on the play. Great attitude by this Orem defense, and they push back the Gaels. And also a penalty will also move this ball back. But a great opportunity, and you're not going to get Micah Bowens necessarily with one defensive player, but the gang tackling at the 35, 36-yard line, wrapping up the Gaels quarterback and moving them back with the penalty, Lincoln as well. This is now going to be first and long. Second and long.
That was Joe Smith, the safety for the Tigers, who got the hit on Bowens in the backfield. And there's the cliche when you talk about receivers not catching the ball of looking up the field, looking for the 6 points before they actually secured it.
And another good pass, though, and now the ball is getting exactly where it needs to be. Upper half of the body, the hands were up, the technique was there, it just wasn't executed well. When the ball bounces off the face mask slash visor, if you wear it, didn't like the visor. And an incompletion, not due to the route or the pass, but the execution. And at the end, that's the most important part of the reception.
Second down. And just back to the line of scrimmage. You see Noah Sewell in the boot. He's not at linebacker for a second straight week, out with an injury, but he is sending signals in to IU and the rest of his defensive teammates, trying to contribute any way he can tonight. That's a man who narrowed down his choices to play Division I football next year to 6 SEC schools, Oregon or Ohio State.
Not bad. At least it's an O university, right?
Alabama.
Well, you said no. You said the two O schools. You said Oregon and Ohio State.
The Ola Gators.
Well, those are other schools.
Bowens. Down the middle. Has Odunze, who is not going to be happy with just the first down, but could not get out of the shoestring tackle. Another first down for the Gaels.
Great pass in the pocket, and this is right on the money in between two defenders in the secondary, and that's a lot of confidence in your receiver. As mentioned, this young man should not be paying for his education.
I don't think that's going to be an issue again. So many sought after talented players who have not committed squaring off in this matchup. Bowens among those who has unveiled his destination, being Happy Valley. One touchdown toss, one touchdown run tonight for the Gaels. Option out to the left. Bowens keeps it as he is inside the 8.
You can see how quick and fast number 1 is in blue for Gorman. And a good decision to keep the ball, because as things got strung out, all you were going to do is really get your running back hung up. So just get everything you can as the most dangerous man with the ball, Lincoln. Get to that left side, the near side of the Gaels, and pick up what you can on first down.
2 for 2 tonight on drives, ending in the end zone for the Gaels. And we will wait for this indication. They are going to say just short is Cam Barfield of what would have been his second touchdown strike of the night.
Cam Barfield doing a lot of work between the tackles, which means that good push up front by Gorman, and it's allowing a running back, and you can see the knee is down at about the 1, Lincoln, so they're going to spot the ball there.
One play later, Zachariah Branch, the freshman, already his 2nd career touchdown on varsity.
And that's a blown assignment by Orem's defense, leaving a receiver wide open. And the vision, Micah Bowens says, oh, if no one's going to cover my receiver, and the ball was a little high, it didn't matter. As long as you got the ball in some type of area code to be caught, it would. And again, the freshman already now with 2 touchdowns.
Branch all of 5'6" going up to get that one. And it is a 20-0 start here in this opening frame between these 2 state champions from the 2018 campaign. Like you said, just completely unmanned.
Sometimes you do not cover that receiver because Cam Barfield's been dangerous between the tackles.
There you see the efficiency. You want to do the math? I know it's early in the year.
It is, but 3 on the left hand and 3 on the right hand means 3 plus 1 or less 1 extra point would give you 20.
To carry anything.
I'm going to say plus PAT plus PAT minus 1 PAT would be 20.
That's 100%.
It's still a great number. I wore it proudly.
In Lincoln Rose, Steve Foster with you. John Castanino down on the sidelines. This is a Tigers team that'll be a tough matchup for a lot of teams in Utah. They did move up in classification this year. Now, a lot of states, you move up in class during realignment solely because of an increase or decrease in attendance. But in Utah, you can petition to move up to try to compete at a higher level. And that was finally granted after that request had been in for a couple of years. So Orem will compete at a higher level this year to continue to be tested week in, week out.
Well, again, and you've got to tip your hat to that school recognizing we can go up and compete and make our team better. And I think that's a testament not just to the years you spend in high school there, but Orem has the thought process that we want to have our student athletes get the best opportunity to continue being student athletes on the next level and have their schooling paid for and make it easier on their families.
What a sight under the Friday night lights here in Las Vegas. Is this where the Tigers get on the board? As they'll be again pinned back inside their own 20 after the return from Buju. Tui Savura, who's getting some looks from a variety of Mountain West schools already.
Well,
as you look into the huddle of Bishop Gorman.
Faola, number 52, coming down on the kick coverage team, and you can't really dance a lot on a kickoff. You can do it more on a punt, but you really kind of have to find that little niche and go on a kick return. At least that's what I found. And right there, the ball starts on the 20 for the Tigers.
So Micah Fea, the junior quarterback last year, saw minimal time as a reserve because, frankly, the clock so often was running late in ball games. There wasn't much trash time to get experience, and that's a situation right there where a little bit more time with a center would pay off in situations like this. Look, this line is feeling so much pressure from Bishop Gorman. They just want to get that snap off and then find their assignment as quickly as possible, and you got to be able to slow things down.
Well, the center, you know, is a vital, important part of the offense. And I know that the opportunity to get to your block and be the first guy to initiate contact is important. However, if the snap is low, it throws off all the timing for the rest of the 10 guys.
They need to get to the 30-yard line. It is 2nd and 18 for the Tigers. Intercepted. The offense has put up 3 touchdowns tonight, and now the defense will add 1 as well. Fabian Ross with the pick 6.
And that was lack of concentration because this ball is right in the hands of number 81, Kane. Kalanick, as you mentioned, finally on the same page with the receiver, but eyes go away from the ball, and the ball is not secured, even though two hands initially were on the reception there. It looked like quarterback and receiver were synced. But again, the most important part of a reception is at the end of it, and that's when you have to secure the ball. And the tip drill happened, and right there, pick six, as you mentioned.
Well, the Tigers are about to get this football right back after the defensive score. Fabian Ross off the tip drill, the sophomore, now adds his name to the men who have entered the end zone tonight.
Good solid play in the secondary by Gorman. But this ball is where it needed to be, and it could have been a big gain after the catch, but you have to secure the football, Lincoln, and that was not done by the offense. And a very advantageous defense at home going the distance because no one was in front of the secondary interceptor, as you mentioned. Number 8, Fabian Ross, and he just cruises in from 25. I think you could have made it 25 yards with having nobody around. You may not have been as pretty as Ross made that look, but again, great open field, wide open field for Gorman, and they're just putting on a show. And it's still the first quarter, 27-0 Gaels.
But again, a lot of folks affectionately call this as preseason just because it's non-league play, non-district. This is an Orem team that's going to be able to need to turn around in the second quarter and still put things into effect, treat it as if it's 0-0. They're about to get the ball right back. We'll see how they respond.
Be nice if they could get good field position off of the kickoff.
And they will be happy starting on the 25. Again, the new duds for the Gaels unveiled this morning. They shared that on social media, tweeted it out. And, well, we should point out new uniforms as well for the Tigers last week. You know, every coach will tell you, play for the name on the front of your uniform, not the name on the back of your uniform. Well, last year that was doubly true because the names on the back didn't necessarily match the player wearing it. They had to wear last year's uniforms due to a late shipment. The 2019 uniforms are in now for the Tigers.
Well, I'll tell you, I never had a chance to play with any name on the back. So even if it was your name on the back, it'd be at least like Rose.
Yeah. Underneath into traffic. It is broken up as the coverage from Jaden Hicks.
Good secondary
Hicks,
coverage.
another member of this secondary receiving college offers. Just a junior.
And Coach Sanchez, as we found out, speaking with him earlier in the week, defensive coordinator, he's a defensive-minded head coach. And also, as you mentioned, wanted to mix it up to learn more about the defensive side of the ball, and it's working like a T right now.
Bishop Gorman got the victory last year against Orem. A difference in that matchup, of course, last year Orem and Puka Nakua. Nakua's brother had played for Coach Sanchez. He missed out on Puka when his family moved over to Utah, and that was much more of an aerial attack a year ago, but much tougher sledding tonight against this Gaels defense for the Tigers offense.
Absolutely. Even though this is the first game for Gorman, they're playing at home and they're playing inspired football.
Bea has time, has his man underneath, and his receivers are just not doing him any favors. The co-captain Jackson Williams that time with his first touch in and out of the hands.
Yes, and it just seems, again, as I looked and observed, Gaels are playing a lot faster. And so if you're Orem, you're believing that the defenders, your opponents, are just getting to you quicker and getting up to you before you can have, you know, the requisite time to put away the ball. And I think that's really affecting the mindset of Orem.
Seeing another low kick, hoping to negate the return. .35, flags fly. This will come back. Gaels will be pinned back. But at least for the moment, the fans holding out hope for another highlight. This will all be for naught, but Zachariah Branch already 2 touchdowns through the air tonight with the punt return for the moment.
He is electrifying and hard to spot. As you mentioned, not a big guy, but a blazing fast guy with a lot of shiftiness. You know, the agility. As I said, on a punt return, Lincoln, you can do the shake, shimmy, and roll. Not so much on a kick return. And Zachariah Branch is fun to watch, even if the ball's going to come back to about the 20-yard line, because 9 in the blue is just having a good time. And that's what you want from a punt return guy. I know this is high praise here as we see Branch catching the ball, and it looks like a block on the side, the back. You know, being a punt returner as well, I'm like, please don't call that, especially when the guy is this fun to watch. Kind of like somebody that some may remember, Dante Hall-esque, because not a big guy, but blazing fast, ridiculously shifty, and loved to hit the B button and spin as well on the controllers on your PlayStation or PS2, 3, or 4.
Masaki called for the illegal block, as of course Zachariah Branch's brother Zion Branch, starting free safety, is just a sophomore this year for Bishop Gorman. Made 6 starts last year in his 9th grade year. Bowens all the time in the world. Third time could have been the charm, but a lick from tuioti-Mariner. Yeah, he was able to force a fumble last week with a well-timed shot. That time, again, denies Odute a grab.
And a good ball. But again, this is thrown into now triple, maybe quadruple coverage, which meant somebody else had to be, again, wide open, as the 1-yard touchdown pass was to Zachariah Branch. I probably, in film session, going to believe that Bowens is going to be shown who was truly open on that play.
Gaels up by 4 touchdowns with 3rd down coming up. A chance to check back in with John Castanino on the sidelines.
Hey guys, a couple quick notes for you. One about Fabian Ross, actually pulled from the junior varsity team last year of Bishop Gorman. So this secondary for Gorman, pretty young. They only start 1 senior, but Ross, one of those guys that showed a little bit more talent than what they thought initially. But you see that pick 6 there. And then what's going on both sidelines right now, you can see the Orem team pretty dejected before that Ross pick 6. Coach is just imploring their team to fight, but you're seeing a letdown here and a lot of slow-moving players on the Orem sideline right now. And on the Gorman sideline, they're reviewing film. They're going and they're using these moments here as teaching moments and clearly trying to improve themselves throughout the early goings of this one. Guys?
Yeah, John, thank you again. Orem last week scored a touchdown on its opening drive, then was able to tie it up later, 14-all, until a late first-half score from Corner Canyon, and then the second half shut out. And it's been a slow start here against the powerhouse of Bishop Gorman, of course, a private school who can pull its players from across the country, including some from the islands, as Bishop Gorman's headed to Hawaii next week to take on powerhouse St. Louis from Hawaii. Bishop Gorman will play teams from 4 different states in the non-district play before they enter competition. As they are looking ultimately for an 11th straight state title and possibly to wind up on the national stage as well. Bowens, offensive line, able to hold up. Down the sideline and broken up. Excellent coverage by Joe Smith.
The safety staying back, and you want to be over the top or effectively deeper than the receiver in the secondary so you can come make a play. Micah Bowens still trying to get the ball downfield to a receiver, and then the safety man, as you mentioned, number 9, Joe Smith, undercutting, looking to intercept the pass from Bowens.
I just think Joe Smith was running with Zachariah Branch that entire time, right till the end, to break it up.
Well, if you stay over top of a receiver and get some depth, you have an opportunity. Now, look, a punt is forced.
Remember where you were when the Gaels punted.
Good defensive stand by Orem.
And the Tigers, for the first time tonight, thanks to their defensive efforts, will set up their offense in Gaels territory.
Did I still tell you it's the first quarter? Did I tell you that? A lot of action going on here.
Yeah, 3 offensive touchdowns for Bishop Gorman, a defensive score as well. Again, Micah Fea, junior quarterback, comes back out with this offense. Shortest field they have dealt with so far tonight.
Here's an opportunity, Lincoln. The Tigers can get it going.
Up the middle. Trying to get something positive by winning the line of scrimmage.
A good inside run by the Orem Tigers. And maybe that's what you just have to do, try to get some smash mouth plays. Meaning just putting helmet to helmet, or I won't want to say that anymore. That's not a good phrase. But something going on, momentum for the Orem Tigers.
12 minutes in the books between these 2 state champions. 4 times into the end zone in that opening frame for the 10th time defending champs of Nevada. Gaels on top in their season opener.
Explore the Southwest lifestyle, the culture, the music, the food, y más. Join hosts J.R. Cardenas and Vanessa Ramirez for a Southwest adventure on Subida. Travel the state, enjoy the food, discover new artists, and fun things to do. Every week, JR and Vanessa share their discoveries with you.
Watch Subida every Sunday and Wednesday only on YourView and yourview.com.
With Cox My Account, you can stay on top of things without having to call. Check statements and pay your bill instantly, so nothing gets by you. Keep an eye on the strength of your Wi-Fi and fix issues right under your nose by resetting your modem or set-top box. Even check TV listings. Sign into My Account at Cox.com today so you never miss a thing.
This is the opening drive of the game. Man, wide open. Anderson up the middle. Big hole. To the end zone. Nobody can stop him. Intercepted. Down the sideline. Nobody's going to catch him.
Had to wait all off season for Bishop Gorman and this high school football season to get underway, and well, the anticipation built up to a crescendo before opening kick tonight. The offense and the defense of the Gaels have not disappointed. Tigers looking for a bright spot here. Their best field position of the night on offense as Micah Fea leads the charge at quarterback this year. And back-to-back runs for the Tigers. Trying to take advantage of an aggressive Gaels defense. It's a Gaels defense that last year, 34 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, another 14 interceptions. They even blocked 6 kicks, punts, and field goal tries.
Coach Sanchez made a couple of adjustments, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast. An odd front, it's 3 defensive linemen, but the linebackers can move, and right there, great anticipation and no gain for the Tigers.
This is a different looking Tiger squad than the one that suited up at the home of the Utah Utes last year in the state championship. New quarterback, almost completely reinvented offensive line as well, with the exception of Kingsley Suamatia, the junior who already has over 30 college offers and made his 29th straight career start on that O-line tonight to buy his quarterback some time, and now just trying to build a little confidence with a playmaker in Vertel.
A good, nice little flare pass near side of the Tigers bench, and you know, let the playmaker get out in space.
You see Vertel on both sides of the football at times. He's in motion as they go back to Buju Tuioti-Mariner.
Trying to get a little inside handoff and see if you could pop through that odd front. But again, the linebacking core of the Gaels, Coach Sanchez spoke about it, wanted to get those athletic guys that could run on the field, and they quickly closed down any opportunities by Orem.
Bertel now in the backfield as Jackson Williams in motion. And this one thrown short, incomplete. Coverage from Jaden Hicks.
That ball was just thrown low. Good attempt to try to pick it up off the artificial surface, but this ball needs to get a little bit higher into the breadbasket to really have a chance to be caught right there. Good route to shield the defender from the ball, but again, the ball just needs to be a little bit higher to be caught.
Looking for his tight end that time, Brenton Paulson. You figure they will go for it on 4th down if they don't convert here. And they will not convert on 3rd down. Swallowed up for the loss by Tafau.
Mataga.
Mataga, the junior, defensive tackle.
Good push by Gorman. And, you know, he who wins the line of scrimmage usually wins that play. And right there, low man was on the side of the blue jerseys and just getting a good push. And it's just disrupting the timing and the efforts by Orem's offense. And now on 4th down and 13, they're going backwards.
Yeah, really no choice but to go for it here. They began in Gaels territory. Fea over the top. But among those in coverage, Tuioti-Mariner, the senior strong safety. And that'll be a turnover on downs as the Tigers, despite the effort of their defense helping them start on the plus side of the field, could not find points.
Well, here the ball is thrown high and over everyone's head, and there was really no chance for anyone to make a play for Orem or even Gorman. I'm not sure if that was the right choice, but you had to throw the ball at least 13 yards to pick up a 1st down in 4th and 13. So that decision was made right, but again, the turnover on downs because the ball fell harmlessly to the turf and incomplete.
It was not a cakewalk to that 10th consecutive state title last year for Bishop Gorman. They started the year 1-3. Remember, this was a team that went 3 years without a loss, let alone 3 in one season. But frankly, Kenny Sanchez was ready for it. Their head coach thought with some of the player changes, starting personnel that they were going to have going into last year, they were going to have some growing pains. They weren't going to back down against a tough schedule as usual. And by the time they hit league play, they would go 6-0.
Well, that's what you want. And I experienced something similar as well. My senior year, everybody said, how can you remember that? Well, you want to play those tough games to prepare yourself for your conference or district play.
Always bringing up your senior moments.
I was just relating to what was going on Lincoln Rose.
Would go on, play 4 more years up there at Princeton in the Ivy League. Some guy named Jason Garrett handing you the rock. Was he top bunk or bottom bunk back at the dorms?
He was closest to the door. He was always closest to the door. He wanted control. You know, this ball was going to get, or the door was going to get controlled by him, and then I just followed. Great time. Still talk to him. Wish him well.
3rd and 6. Bowens will try to get it with his legs.
See how quick and shifty the playmakers are for Gorman. And your quarterback just as shifty as wide receivers and slot backs. That's impressive, and it's tough, especially when these playmakers get to the edge.
Let's see if they go for it here on 4th down, or if Bowens kicks it himself. Try to pull the Tigers offside.
Well, we mentioned Kenny Sanchez, the head coach, does not like to kick the ball, but this may be punted.
Yeah, I think his quarterback's going to pooch it. Nobody back. Ball takes a Gaels friendly bounce. Tigers will set up here in quarter number 2 on their own 23-yard line. When you rejoin us in Las Vegas, it's game time.
You're watching Game Time on YourView. For more in-depth coverage of the top players around, recruiting updates, behind-the-scenes access, and more, check out yourview.com. Join Jane Manzuras on Creative Living as she shares fun and inspiring ideas for enriching your life.
I'm Jane Manzuras, and on the next Creative Living, it's back to school time. We'll have tips to ease you back into the school year.
Plus, we hop in a Subaru to visit Dig This Las Vegas, where we try out a completely different kind of ride. Watch Creative Living Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday on YourView. Brought to you by Subaru of Las Vegas. You're watching Game Time on YourView. For more in-depth coverage of the top players around, recruiting updates, behind-the-scenes access, and more, check out yourview.com.
Bishop Gorman in the second quarter up 27-0, just punted the football back to Orem before the Tigers set back up for their next drive. Let's check back in with John down on the sidelines.
Yeah, Lincoln, well, you mentioned it earlier, but Gorman last year, 1-3 start. You see the scoreboard here today. You wonder how the heck did it happen? 0-2 for the first time since 2005. And speaking with Kenny Sanchez, to give a little bit more context to it, he had a lot of reasons for it. He had a lot of inexperience. You know, the Gorman team always comes in here with a ton of talent, but not a lot of game time for them last year. They essentially had to learn on the fly against an out-of-state schedule where 3 out of 4 teams were ranked in the top 25, and they did get that learning in season. Coming out of the out-of-state play, they felt really good going into play here in Nevada. Clearly, that's evidenced by 10 straight wins, and it's 10th straight state championship. Lincoln?
John, thank you. You just saw Brian Certain, the leading tackler last year for the Gaels, lose his helmet. He'll have to come off a play. See if the Tigers can take advantage of the missing linebacker. Fail. Underneath, and then immediately hit by Tuioti-Mariner.
Should be enough for a first down to Lincoln. And here Fayette makes the right choice because, again, with that odd front, 2 of the linebackers jump down and bring pressure, and the receiver just finds the void left by the linebacker, and the chains get moved.
Paulson with the grab there, had 4 catches, 9 yards last week. Again, quick release for Fayette. And frankly, if he didn't underthrow it, that ball might be intercepted and taken the other way. May have been a blessing there as Jackson Williams unable to bring it in.
You're absolutely right. And the other thing, too, Lincoln, Fayette needs to let that ball go a little sooner to give his receiver some separation from the secondary coverage, and also so that the ball's not thrown as low.
Well, Jeremy Hill's Tigers will only be better moving forward this season because of the first 2 games on their schedule. Again, last week it was against the state champions from 1 classification higher within Utah. Tonight, a team that is often in the national conversation.
Right there, the ball again. You can do everything right or wrong with your pattern, but to catch the ball, you have to execute at the end of the reception. And it's just, I sound like a broken record, but it just is so important.
Well, and that's a guy in Bertel who's so reliable last week. 10 catches, over 100 yards. And again, Fayette inclined to throw a little short of his receivers now with these opportunistic defenders for Bishop Gorman.
Bishop Gorman feeling very comfortable and knowing that the Orem receivers aren't going to run by him. And so with the pitch and catch mentality of dink and dunk, speedy secondary guys can bait you and go for these interceptions and pass breakups because they close and they bring that pressure down through the receiver.
A lot of the Tigers in last year's state championship run had been together since 3rd grade, 4th grade, such great chemistry. Some of them carrying over this year, but obviously a new look on offense. And, well, even on offense with that man, as Again, Sewell also can carry the rock at 260 pounds. He's not just a bruiser, but he can blaze right past you.
Well, that's, you know, a special type of student athlete. And so when Sewell does get the number 2 back on the field for his Tigers, that'll be a huge impact.
We were told Gabe Sewell was your interim head coach, but we may have misheard things. Maybe it's Noah Sewell, because he is determined to stay involved. You see him down there on the sideline, keeping the defense on track.
You don't get as a player, you don't get opportunities during the season to start, you know, encouraging your teammates as that extra coach, because usually you're the one getting barked at. But now Sewell in the boot on his right leg before I'm sure they go into their district or conference play. Makes sense. Be safe, heal up, and then get back on the field.
Broke a lot of hearts last month on social media when he unveiled his final 8.
Well,
he will be a linebacker at the next level, but they miss him on both sides of the football in Orem.
They do. And such the presence, and that's what also Gorman's team this evening has brought, a lot of presence from their leaders, either emotional or inspirational, in the fact of having a senior quarterback and then having a speedy freshman that is a heck of a playmaker with this season just underway.
This is a hydration break for player safety. No charge timeout here. We will step aside when we come back, fully hydrated and full speed ahead.
Jeanette, you know how during our date, we couldn't remember the name of that show we both liked. We're Cox customers. We can find it on Contour. Last 9 viewed. My grandkids are here. Home improvement shows. More like this. We liked House Hunters. That's the name of it.
Grandpa, you have a girlfriend?
We're not using labels.
That's a yes.
Watch more, search less, because you're a Cox customer. Cox.com/learn.
On Your View and at yourview.com.
Bishop Gorman picking right back up where they left off last winter. 4 touchdowns tonight, 3 on offense, 1 on defense. Right now, shutting out the defending state champions from next door in Utah, the Orem Tigers, who still will be a team that'll be tough to handle for most programs in their home state. 1 touchdown already tonight for Barfield, who had simply been running straight ahead. This time showed some moves, able to sidestep some tackles into Tiger territory.
And a good jump cut to the outside. I love the fact that 2 offensive linemen pulling to the right side. Cam Barfield staying behind those blockers and then finding the seam and then cutting back. That's one of my favorite plays, where you can get right around that edge and then make a cut.
Barfield is part of a deep rotation at the disposal of Kenny Sanchez at running back. Of course, Barfield's been getting the bulk of the carries here, but they had a transfer come in this year, another sophomore like Barfield, and Jaden Ott, who's getting Division I offers. And another man in Ragsdale last year who put up 11 touchdowns, who hasn't touched the ball tonight.
That is the bevy of riches. And again, Micah Bowens can also tote the rock. Your quarterback.
Yeah, Bowens last year, 927 yards rushing, 15 on the ground into the end zone as he takes it up to the 46-yard line.
Right on cue. And the Orem defense has to respect the inside handoff. Is it a fake? Is it a keeper? A nice zone read by Micah Bowens to keep the ball and then just scoot quickly. I mean, he gets 10 yards in about 3 or 4 steps. You know, that's quick on a defense.
This is where they think he's improved the most in the offseason. I'm not convinced that if Odunze doesn't slam on the brakes, he doesn't catch that ball. Everybody gave up on it, and it dropped down a couple yards later.
Yeah, that was a little strange at the end that even the defenders,
they were looking at him. They didn't know where the football was.
Well, and again, that's been the age-old decision and debate. Do you cover the man or the ball? Well, if you know where the man is, it doesn't matter, but the ball is really the most important.
Bowens keeps it, and the Tigers not fooled as the play is blown dead before that ball flies out.
And brief flashes by the defensive line by Orem Tigers as they just bust into the backfield. They bring some pressure off the corner, so it's not your traditional rush of just defensive line, but when you're down 4 touchdowns, you have to create some type of chaos, and that may mean bring additional defenders.
Another one of the Tigers' two-way players, Vertel, in on that stop. And did a Gale move. So they are going to get an offside call just by briefly entering the neutral zone. No chance to get back unless they saw a flinch from Bishop Gorman as a result.
You know where this game's being played. A little home cooking.
Well, we'll see. Does this force any movement on that line?
You know I'm an offensive side of the ball guy, so, but just trying to look at the Tigers and say, hey, let the ball get snapped first.
Bowens 2 touchdown tosses tonight, each time to the freshman in Branch.
Tell you who stood out there for the Orem Tigers is Joshua Singh, number 92. He's been playing very well on the defensive line, getting a lot of pressure, doesn't give up on any of these plays, and finds Micah Bowens again. He caught Micah Bowens in the backfield for a loss. I mean, after he was blocked, got back up and chased down number 1 in blue.
Not bad for a punter.
Not bad for a punter.
4th and 4, the Gales going for it, at least for the moment.
With all the momentum.
Bowens pooch kicked it last time. This time he's sincere. Singh unable to squeeze him in. Bowens still directing traffic. Wants it all downfield. It is almost intercepted, but frankly, it is better that it is dropped by Jacob Robinson. He would love the pick, but perhaps the future BYU Cougar better off seeing that one drop for field position back in midfield.
You're absolutely right. Your natural instincts would be to catch the ball, and you do have to pursue to the ball. But as you mentioned, wisely the ball falls harmlessly to the turf, and you make up about 50 yards of field position by doing that.
We saw that mistake made last week in their game against Corner Canyon. Check back in with John on the sidelines.
Yeah, guys, note on Micah Bowens. 2 seasons ago, he was the starting cornerback for Bishop Gorman. And he's one of those guys I mentioned earlier in the quarter about that 1-3 start. Lots of inexperience. Micah Bowens, clearly one of those guys, had to progress against teams like Mater Dei and De La Salle. And I know that Gorman came out of that with a 1-3 record, but Kenny Sanchez felt really good about his quarterback. Said potentially should have won Nevada State Player of the Year, of course, with those 40-plus touchdowns. Did not. And then you're seeing him with Rome Odunze. There's no question that these two guys can be the #1 receiver quarterback pairing in the state.
John, thank you. Yeah, Micah Bowens, coming out of high school, was all-state at cornerback. And now he's going on to Penn State as a signal caller. On the opposite side of things, change made at quarterback for the Tigers as they go with Pono Huron, one of the 3 brothers, as the senior signal caller takes his first snap.
Good move to elude the up-front pressure. However, the speed of Gorman just doesn't give you a lot of opportunity if you're indecisive in what to do. I always like to get the heck out of there. You know, if I saw green pastures, I was gone. We'll think about how we duck and dodge later, but get out of there when you see an opportunity for a jailbreak.
Here on with 4-1 from midfield. Tigers have been kept off the scoreboard here in the first half and able to find the big target as Paulson, the tight end, squeezes that one in.
Yeah, one of the captains, and that was a good pass and catch going near side to the Orem Tigers bench. Also with the defender closing in, as you mentioned, the tight end. A great concentration at the end of the catch and the route, and it picks up a first down.
Even with tuioti-Mariner bearing down on him, able to maintain that catch.
Might as well catch it, you're going to get hit.
How often do we see this? A quarterback at no fault of his own, the receivers are dropping some bunnies, and then the backup quarterback comes in, and all of a sudden they're catching everything.
I know. It's a funny game, but it's a funny shaped ball, Lincoln.
Jackson Williams with that squeeze. Inside the final minute of this opening half, can the Tigers get points on the board before heading to the locker room?
That is the 6-point question, or 3-point question, or 7-point question.
I don't think we're going to see many field goals tonight. Tigers do call a timeout. Down to 1 remaining. Try to preserve as much of this final minute as they can. Both these teams with great community support. For the Tigers, first thing Jeremy Hill wanted to do as a former player and student at Orem High was come back and get the community fired up, set those expectations, not just at state champion, but try to get them even higher and shoot for the stars, get back to national prominence as well. They are well on their way, despite perhaps a hiccup tonight against a Gaels program that went 3 years without a loss before last year. As Vertel with another touch this time on the offensive side. And to that same note, Kenny Sanchez, of course, at Bishop Gorman's not going to apologize with the resources that they have at this beautiful venue. High school from 2007, a great campus at Bishop Gorman. He says they're very strict still on not allowing anybody with gum even. They are not going to let this campus have any blemishes. And of course, the athletic facilities are great. A lot of it is alumni support, the alumni not asking for anything in return other than simply to know that the student athletes are putting in hard work. As Pono will throw this one out of bounds as the coverage. We'll see that one go incomplete. Fabian Ross already a pick 6 tonight. But not much downside to that throw from here on.
Well, you only have 15 seconds left in this first half, Lincoln, so you want to do what you can to possibly get in the red zone, but it looks like now
they might be trying to split the sticks here. They will bring out the kicking unit just to try to take that 0 off the board. Travis Thompson is your man from close to 50 yards out. This will be from 52.
Yeah, and that's a long way for any place kicker.
Starting to curve left, and it'll be short. So that 0 is there to stay for the first half. Travis Thompson, the senior. See him on kickoffs for Orem, and will also handle the longer field goal tries. We haven't had to talk much about Bishop Gorman's starting kicker, who is out with an ankle injury, because even he wanted to rough it up a little bit. Talking about Dylan Hamika, who in onside kick practice, they didn't even line up any teammates with him. He sent it into the return team of the Gaels, and he tried to recover that football all by himself. It came up a little hobbled. Head coach shaking his head at his kicker, but
I'm shaking my head because kickers are a little different.
Well, poor Dylan Hamika had to kick 70 extra points last year and only got to try 2 field goals. as that is the final snap of the opening half. It is the season opener for your 10-time state champions in Nevada. Gale Force wins at their back. Students approving their experience under the lights on this Friday night. Bishop Gorman in the driver's seat, up 27-0 at the break.
Join Jane Manzuras on Creative Living as she shares fun and inspiring ideas for enriching your life.
I'm Jane Manzuras, and on the next Creative Living, it's back to school time. We'll have tips to ease you back into the school year.
Plus, we hop in a Subaru to visit Dig This Las Vegas, where we try out a completely different kind of ride. Watch Creative Living Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday on Your View. Brought to you by Subaru of Las Vegas.
Contour. Pause. I love this song.
Yeah, Feel It Still.
Wait a minute. Pause. What?
The song, Feel It Still?
No, I don't feel it. You know what? Never mind. Contour, what song is this?
What do you know?
Contour's voice remote gets you right to the good stuff.
Buy brand new movies instantly with Contour from Cox.
Do you know there's only 3 days of food in the stores?
The way I see it, I'm the wrong side of 60 anyway.
I don't think there's a wrong side of 60.
The thing about people, they change when they walk away.
The Tomorrow Man. Purchase movies right from your remote. Download them to go and watch anywhere, anytime on your mobile devices. Start building your digital video library now.
Explore the Southwest lifestyle, the culture, the music, the food, y más. Join hosts J.R. Cardenas and Vanessa Ramirez for a Southwest adventure on Subida. Travel the state, enjoy the food, discover new artists, and fun things to do. Every week, J.R. and Vanessa share their discoveries with you.
Watch Subida every Sunday and Wednesday only on Your View and yourview.com. Subida. You're watching Game Time on Your View. For more in-depth coverage of the top players around, recruiting updates, behind-the-scenes access, and more, check out yourview.com.
They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. For the past 10 winners, the state title has stayed right here at the home of Bishop Gorman. Again, your 4A champs back in 2018. And a great start tonight, up on Orem, 27-0.
Join Jane Manzuras on Creative Living as she shares fun and inspiring ideas for enriching your life.
I'm Jane Manzuras, and on the next Creative Living, it's back to school time. We'll have tips to ease you back into the school year.
Plus, we hop in a Subaru to visit Dig This Las Vegas, where we try out a completely different kind of ride. Watch Creative Living Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday on Your View. Brought to you by Subaru of Las Vegas.
It's Season 3 of Closet Factory's Operation Reorganization.
If you need an organizational solution, this is it.
See how Closet Factory designers turn the ordinary into something extraordinary.
Probably one of the best investments we've made thus far.
See amazing before and afters with all great design ideas. Designed around smarter storage and organization. See how Closet Factory builds solutions for every room. Operation Reorganization, Season 3, only on Your View.
Buy brand new movies instantly with Contour from Cox.
What if I told you fate is real?
This is so idiotic.
What if I could change your mind? How? Just give me a day.
A million futures lie before us. Which one will come true?
The sun is also a star. Purchase movies right from your remote. Download them to go and watch anywhere, anytime on your mobile devices. Start building your digital video library now.
Drive of the game. Man wide open. Anderson up the middle, big hole. To the 30, to the 20. Battling his way to the end zone. Nobody can stop him. Intercepted down the sideline. Nobody's going to catch him.
You're watching Game Time on YourView. For more in-depth coverage of the top players around, recruiting updates, behind-the-scenes access, and more, check out yourview.com.
Game time in Las Vegas tonight, our YourView Game of the Week. The state champions from Utah colliding with state champions from Nevada. Slow start for the Tigers. In danger of an 0-2 start against a challenging schedule standing in their way again. The home squad Gaels. Bishop Gorman up 27-0. First half highlights and stats when you rejoin us.
Explore the Southwest lifestyle, the culture, the music, the food, y más. Join hosts J.R. Cardenas and Vanessa Ramirez for a Southwest adventure on Subida. Travel the state, enjoy the food, discover new artists, and fun things to do. Every week, JR and Vanessa share their discoveries with you.
Watch Subida every Sunday and Wednesday only on YourView and yourview.com.
Subida.
Drone Racing League pilot Wild Willie is testing his skills on the scariest course imaginable. His mom's house. Fortunately, he's using panoramic Wi-Fi from Cox, because even a 1-second delay could mean trouble for everyone. Wall-to-wall fast panoramic Wi-Fi from Cox. Wi-Fi at the speed of flight.
Drive of the game. Man wide open. Anderson up the middle. Big hole. To the 30. To the 20. Battling his way to the end zone. Nobody can stop him. Intercepted down the sideline. Nobody's going to catch him.
Back at Fertitta Field, halftime. Bishop Gorman with 4 touchdowns in that opening half. 27-0 the score. Defense pitching a shutout. We welcome you back into the broadcast booth. Lincoln Rose along with Steve Foster. Great to have you with us. Steve, high school football is finally here nationwide. Classes got started a week prior, but finally time to put on the pants.
Absolutely, and a great game. Great start by the home team anyway, and a lot of electrifying highlights to this first half.
Take a look at the opening score, the senior to the freshman.
Yeah, and gotta love Zachariah Branch getting down the field, doing a little 2-step, 1, 2, and into the end zone, 45 yards.
He would find his way into the end zone 3 times. One of them would be called back on a kick return. Second touchdown tonight, the lone rushing score so far as Barfield, the sophomore, punches it in.
Traditional, right up between the guard and the tackle, and that touchdown number 2.
And then right back to Branch, the freshman, with his second career score.
Nobody wanted to cover him. It seems like Bowens get an easy score. That's your 3rd touchdown.
Not only is the defense pitching a shutout, they have outscored the opposing offense tonight thanks to the pick 6 off the tip drill by Fabian Ross, the sophomore.
An advantageous tip drill. Nobody in front and a speedy secondary man keeping it on the hard 8, and that is the 4th score in this first half.
Take a look at the schedule again for Orem. This is already their 2nd game of the year. They'll move on to play at Skyline in Idaho, while Bishop Gorman, well, get those Hawaiian shirts out. They are ready to head west a few time zones over to take on Hawaiian powerhouse St. Louis, among the nationally ranked programs year in, year out. That'll be next week. before they meet their lone team from Anaheim out of California, then finally back into in-state competition in Nevada. So a lot of great games to look forward to for these two programs alone. A second half to look forward to when you rejoin us on tonight's Your View Game of the Week.
With Cox My Account, you can stay on top of things without having to call. Check statements and pay your bill instantly, so nothing gets by you. Keep an eye on the strength of your Wi-Fi and fix issues right under your nose by resetting your modem or set-top box. Even check TV listings. Sign into My Account at Cox.com today, so you never miss a thing.
Buy brand new movies instantly with Contour from Cox.
You looking for something?
I can't stop thinking about you.
Just be careful.
After. Purchase movies right from your remote. Download them to go and watch anywhere, anytime on your mobile devices. Start building your digital video library now.
Join Jane Manzuras on Creative Living as she shares fun and inspiring ideas for enriching your life.
I'm Jane Manzuras, and on the next Creative Living, it's back to school time. We'll have tips to ease you back into the school year.
Plus, we hop in a Subaru to visit Dig This Las Vegas, where we try out a completely different kind of ride. Watch Creative Living Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday on Your View. Brought to you by Subaru of Las Vegas. You're watching Game Time on Your View. For more in-depth coverage of the top players around, recruiting updates, behind-the-scenes access, and more, check out yourview.com.
Just about ready to go for the start of the second half. Bishop Gorman with 4 touchdowns. Going to come out for the second half in the locker room as if it's 0-0.
Got to do it.
A great peek there in as they coach them up. Certainly enjoyed our opportunity to chat with both head coaches of these programs. For Bishop Gorman, again, it's Kenny Sanchez, who several years ago took over after his brother Tony's departure to be the head coach at UNLV. And, of course, the great homecoming story of Jeremy Hill at Orem, coming back to his alma mater and has turned this program back around. High expectations, and you can understand why both these coaches able to lead these programs to consecutive state titles under their guidance. Lincoln Rose, Steve Foster with you, and a chance to check back into the third member of our team, John Castanino. John?
Yeah, guys, you saw Pono Kahala, Duran, taking over a quarterback here for Micah Fea for Orem. And I asked head coach Jeremy Hill, you just mentioned him, what do you do when you really don't have anybody on offense that you can trust, right? They've lost 4 offensive linemen. They lose their quarterback. They lose their wide receiver, Puka Nakua. He says you got to come out with a balanced attack, but you have to feel your way out. And clearly that's what's happening here, at least evidence in the first half. We'll see what happens in the second half for Orem. And then as far as Gorman goes, I mentioned again at the top, they only had 7 full days in pads before this game here against Gorman at home in the season opener. And talking with Kenny Sanchez, he says, well, that, they're right on schedule right now. This is pretty much what they expected coming out here. So 27-0 lead. We'll see what Gorman does in the second half, but they're certainly tweaking things, getting that more pad experience leading up to a big game next week against St. Louis and Honolulu.
John, there was a great point in there. It reminds us about the Gaels loss last year to Mater Dei, where Mater Dei already had a game under their belt, while these Gaels simply had limited practice due to, again, rules for player safety, essentially. As the Gaels come out to an ovation, but the Gaels not making any excuses. No such slow start tonight against an Orem team that already has a game under their belt. It is simply for pride that this defense will try to continue to keep the Tigers off the board here in their home. We'll see what unfolds in these last 2 quarters of play.
Well, it's going to be interesting. You know, just see if you're the Orem Tigers, if you can win a series, maybe win a quarter, and then see if you can win a half. And it's not impossible. I've seen, gosh, unfortunately, a Buffalo Bills team come back in a playoff game to sink Warren Moon, who's one of my favorite all-time quarterbacks.
A 35-point turnaround.
That's a small thing.
So Tigers are scheduled to get the ball to start here in the 3rd quarter. Remember, the Gaels installed a new defense this offseason just because Kenny Sanchez reflecting on the fact that, you know, he's been so busy combing over everything else in the world, whether it be working with his coaches, working with his players. He's also the dean of students at Bishop Gorman. He's juggling a lot of things, and he thought the one thing he wasn't doing was looking inward, evaluating his own progress as a coach. And he thought one way to do that was to challenge himself on the defense and reinvent things, do something he hadn't done before, and run that odd front.
Exactly. You know, it's kind of like a basketball player learning to shoot with the offhand, or a baseball player deciding to hit from the other side of the plate to round out and support their skills. And Coach Sanchez said it very plain. He didn't want to get stale. And the way he's going to do that this season is to go to the drawing board, but he's also being smart about the talent and the personnel he has by putting more linebackers on the field that can run and have that speed and kind of take that 3-man front and can make it a 4 to 5-man front depending on what he wants to show his opponents.
So the Gaels, the first out of the locker room. We'll see if they will be able to flex their depth here in the 2nd half and get some valuable opportunities for some of the 2nd string and 3rd stringers on varsity.
Well, I think you would, because again, as mentioned, Gorman has not had a lot of time in their pads. And so if you can build depth early in these non-district or conference games, then you're going to be better equipped and have the opportunity of building that depth for that next state championship run.
And what a home field this is for the Gaels. Beautiful facilities. And of course, you can always look up to those 3 national championships during this 10-year run of state titles for Bishop Gorman. Obviously, in a clash like this, they have that built-in advantage. They are a private school. They can find talent and attract students from across the country. But no excuses tonight for the Tigers. They'll take their lumps in this matchup, trying to find some positives in the 2nd half, and all of their goals will still be within reach going into next week for Orem High School.
Absolutely. And again, the preseason schedule, because again, is it non-conference, is it non-district, whatever you want to call it, it gives you, being that team, the opportunity to go against competition, be it somewhere else in your state or now out of state. And we did that as well in Texas. Being from far west Texas, we could play New Mexico schools. Wherever you can find good competition so that you are prepared when it counts to make the state championship run, and you can do it, do it.
This is not a team, the gold-clad Tigers, who's going to be emerging from many locker rooms down by 4 touchdowns this year. But
no.
All coaches will tell you, it's not about the wins, it's about what you learn from the losses. And this game's not over yet. There's a lot they can still accomplish here in the 2nd half, but even at halftime, what have they learned from this clash against one of the top teams in the country?
Well, I'll tell you one thing is about the concentration at the end of the catch. So we saw drop passes in the 1st quarter, and then you mentioned a backup quarterback coming in the 2nd quarter, and the concentration was higher. Interestingly enough, I think if the defense of the Orem Tigers can take the example of number 92, Joshua Singh, and get as a unit that type of inspiration, you can at least make a chink in the armor of Gorman and maybe cut into this 27-point lead.
Mentioned, of course, again, last year is Puka Nacua, who almost single-handedly carried these Tigers close to a victory against Bishop Gorman. That did not help the storyline of yet another week with big number 2 Noah Sewell in the boot. We have seen both Mike Cafe get the start at quarterback. More recently, Pono Hiron has come in as the backup with some success near the end. They just really ran out of time in that final minute of the second quarter trying to put points on the board. The missed 52-yard field goal attempt, certainly understandable. And we noted Puka Nacua, while his brother Isaiah did play for Bishop Gorman. Just one of the storylines between these two programs meeting for a second straight year.
Yes, and it seems when you're on that elite level, doesn't matter if you're neighbors or you're part of a dynasty, they seem to gravitate towards each other, and that's kind of where high school football is going when you see the St. Louis of Hawaii and the Servites of California and different things like that playing against each other.
In Tigers, getting the ball first. And they'll start at the 19-yard line after their turn from Kane Hiron.
Beverly losing his helmet on the kick coverage team. Number 21 for Gorman.
As he helps put an end to this return.
As Tigers get up to the 20, so a lot of excitement to start at the traditional spot for a kickoff.
Second year that you can fair catch inside the 25 and bring it out, even if you're not in the end zone. Pono gets the start. He'll hand it off to Vertel. That's a nice gain on first down.
That's a first down. That's double-digit yards by the Tigers. And again, very simple, but if you're playing inspired and you're getting the push and winning the line of scrimmage, you can have plays that go for 10 yards and move the chains.
And Vertel had 10 catches last week. 1 carry for 7 yards in that opener. As they continue to share the rock, share the wealth among their myriad of ball carriers.
And here, kind of a little inside move, but you kind of have to be quick, and that's the jump cut move that a bigger back may not have, Lincoln. And so it goes for a minimum gain or minimal gain comparatively.
Huron out of the shotgun on 2nd and 7. Good protection. Just a tad tall, as it appeared he was looking for Brenton Paulson.
And that was good coverage also. But again, when you run and you roll out opposite your natural rollout, you really have to put the ball on the receiver. The choice was correct. It was just the ball was led just a little bit farther than what the receiver could really do, running the route on the far sideline away from the Orem Tigers bench.
Well, the Tigers will be the only team in film sessions that won't have a chance to have seen the Gaels in their odd man front. 3 men on the line, 5 men coming at times, including one of those 5 men that time up front being Cyrus Moss, blowing up the play of the sophomore.
Again, Cyrus Moss being on that second level, the linebacker level, gets the opportunity to walk down onto the line of scrimmage, and now he's the 4th or 5th person that can bring pressure against an offensive secondary and backfield, I should say, and it just doesn't give the signal caller an opportunity to make a play downfield.
Singh able to kick away from the pressure, and he's had himself a nice night, doubling as your punter.
Gaels start 1st and 10 from their own 33-yard line.
Not bad field position for Gorman as they possess the ball here for the first time in the second half. A good defensive stop by Gorman. So they, after a 11-yard gain on the ground and the chains were moved by Orem, it seemed that Gorman woke back up and said, we're going to bring our offense on now and see what we can do. We've earned 27 in the first half. We're at home. Maybe we can get a few more.
The freshman with those 2 touchdown catches and did have 1 punt return called back. And this time the movement on the offense.
You have really emphasized pregame, pre-snap, and it's preventing offenses from moving forward. And right there, the center, vital. I think one of the most vital players on offense. Without the center snapping the ball properly, or without the center snapping the ball, period, guys like quarterbacks and running backs and receivers and tight ends go nowhere.
Barfield close to the 35. They'll mark him back at the 34-yard line.
The good thing about Cam Barfield, you see, as he finishes his runs, he's going forward and he's leaning, and that's what you want. I don't think you have to be the fastest guy as a running back, but you need to be able to not turn the ball over and finish a run.
Bowens again will hand it off. The escape artist, Barfield, with a first down and then some. Well, Barfield breaking off the huge run after it looked like it was going to go for nothing. Joe Smith, though, puts an end to it on his terms.
He does, and great vision. But 30 yards later, I'm okay with what Cam Barfield does here. And again, you don't have to be the fastest back, but a shifty, agile move and then get upfield. Yeah, and the ball was protected. The 5 points of pressure did not allow for a fumble, even as you mentioned, Smith puts a lick way downfield.
Inside the 40. Bowens. A nice chunk of change on first down.
And you can see just the gait of Micah Bowens. He's faster than most people on this field, and he can get to the sideline express, as you know that I like, because then you only have defenders coming from one side, and you can wisely adjust and know when to go out of bounds and not take additional hits in a game that's already a collision sport.
And again, they go with the I formation look. Dotting the I is Ragsdale. Last year, twice went off for 100 yards, 11 touchdowns, sharing the workload as a running back a year ago. Backing up Barfield tonight. As again, the carry from Ikaika Ragsdale.
And again, you said it correctly, Lincoln. Any of these rushers of the football are going to make a defense have to wrap up and tackle that ball carrier, because these guys can really get it done.
Shannon, the fullback, for extra protection. Bowens over the top. And man coverage. And that is probably the biggest disappointment so far in a 27-0 lead for this Bishop Gorman squad, is just not being able to connect with Rome Odunze more than once tonight.
Yes.
Everything else has gone their way.
But remember, there was a ball that was off the hands and off the face mask visor that should have been completed. So, you know, this is a first game for Gorman, and they're going to have to make some adjustments to catching a football in live play.
Bowens stayed calm and collected, able to still hand that one off to Ragsdale.
Let me tell you, a great tackle. Joe Smith playing the pass and the run well for the Orem Tigers this evening. And if that tackle wasn't made, Ragsdale could have been off to the races. And getting into the rusher's body and legs really takes all of the shiftiness away from the offensive player, and a great open field tackle.
Trying to pick up whatever yardage the defense is going to give them. Inside the red zone now. Able to connect with Jonathan Brady, the sophomore.
That's a little nice pitch and catch to keep putting the pressure on the Orem Tigers as you're getting inside the 20-yard line there, the red zone, as it is titled, because it gets real tough once you get to the 20, because now the defense has a lot less room to be responsible for, and they can get a little crafty in trying to put pressure on an offense.
Gaels looking for the first points since coming out of the locker room for the second half. Bowens now dictating the terms.
Micah Bowens, the ball carrier around the left side.
Came all the way from the right end of the field. The question is, did he get enough? Looked like he was just short of what he needed for the first down.
You can definitely tell that the quarterback, Micah Bowens, as he's kind of being a little gingerly with his gait now, is so smooth and can just get to the edge and make a play.
Tigers defense makes the stop. Orem will set up back on offense when we return. It's game time on Your View here in Las Vegas.
Now Contour from Cox gets you right to the strange stuff.
Something's coming. Something hungry for blood.
Noble stuff.
The crown must always win.
Show me something dramatic.
And orange stuff. Along with the best stuff on cable. Because Netflix is now on Contour.
How awesome is this place?
Just say it.
Black Mirror.
And get right to the fierce, funny, bold, and bingey stuff. Watch it all on Contour. Just say Netflix to get started.
Explore the Southwest lifestyle, the culture, the music, the food, y más. Join hosts J.R. Cardenas and Vanessa Ramirez for a Southwest adventure on Subida. Travel the state, enjoy the food, discover new artists, and fun things to do. Every week, JR and Vanessa share their discoveries with you.
Watch Subida every Sunday and Wednesday only on Your View and yourview.com.
Midway through the third quarter, both defenses have been able to make a stop that brings the Tigers offense back out for their second drive of the half. As Huron just has to get rid of it. Closest receiver in the area again was Jacob Robinson, the senior co-captain. Robinson, who does have an offer already from BYU. Had a couple of catches last week, a couple of runs as well. A lot of versatile players make up this state championship squad for Orem. Noah Sewell, arguably the top recruit still on the table for Division I programs.
No need to rush. He's going somewhere.
He narrowed it down to 8 schools last month. Pono, good protection. And able to strike his man. You just need 1 foot down, but that may have been an NFL catch right there by Jackson Williams.
Good body control. Good presence of knowing where the sideline is. And as you mentioned, both feet in. And a nice catch. Possessing the ball all the way to the ground. And that's important, I think, on any level. Start on the high school level, and then as you progress, you don't have to concern yourself with it because you did it as a young person.
Third and 1. Who will win the line of scrimmage? The Gaels not backing down. Push the Tigers back to force a 4th down.
And that was a good effort, a strong effort by this home team as they just wall off a pretty good football player. And that probably is a loss on that handoff to the right side as feet were being grabbed, legs were being grabbed.
That's just here in the broadcast booth.
Right.
I have an emotional teammate up here.
Football season, man.
Singh. We've seen him punt a little too often tonight, as much as we love to watch the talented young man. Will this return go back? And they'll finally swallow him up inside the 40-yard line. Lincoln Rose, Steve Foster with you tonight here on Your View. And, of course, great to have John Castanino down on the sidelines. Let's check back in with John.
Hey, Lincoln, Steve, we've touched on it at the top of the show, but we want to tell you about that 2-game suspension and give you a little bit more context for head coach Jeremy Hill now watching this game from a hotel room somewhere in Las Vegas. So it goes back to the state title game last year, the Orem team beating Dixie 60-14, and it was a rule regarding uniforms that he had no idea about. He asked Dixie if the Orem team could wear their whites. Dixie agreed. Dixie went dark. Orem went with their whites. End of story. But a couple weeks afterwards, the High School State Association going to Orem and saying, hey, you need to wear your dark uniforms in that game, slapped a 2-game suspension on Hill, and then there was a whole appeals process, right? And Hill was just hoping to go from 2 games to 1. He had his mea culpa, didn't know about the rule yet. The Utah State Athletic Association stood firm, and they said, nope, no dice. You're going to have a 2-game suspension here. So lo and behold, now Gabe Sewell on the sidelines here coaching. And really it's the hardest on the players, right? The lines of communication here a little bit. He's just trying to keep his guys positive, and that's what you're hearing on the sidelines right now. However, Sewell, a head coach in Samoa for a long time, he's got a lot of experience. So no real game planning differences here, but you can see maybe showing up a little bit on the field here today, guys.
Yeah, interim head coach Gabe Sewell, unofficial assistant Noah Sewell, and of course stepping in with the defensive coordinator responsibilities is Coach Tuioti-Mariner. A lot of familiarity there, a lot of trust. Coach Hill did make the trip out to Nevada because of the JV game last night, a chance to interact with the young men, but not allowed to be at the venue this evening. But again, these are non-district, non-league matchups. He'll inherit a team that is 0-2 that has gone up against a couple of state champions, both in-state and out of state. As I mentioned earlier, all though of the goals that they set out for themselves are still very much within reach and on the table for the Tigers moving forward. Bowens the handoff. Back to Barfield, back inside the 25.
Such a silly rule. You know, if you have 2 teams that have uniforms and it's not so close that you can't tell one from the other.
Well, tonight's more of your color rush of sorts, if you want to use an NFL reference, and we've seen that in some great college rivalries. The first that Coach Hill was informed of the issue was when one of the officials spoke to him just prior to kickoff of the championship, at which point it was too late to make any adjustments. But a 2-game suspension as well as a fine. That is all being served right now. And again, Coach Hill will regain the reins this next weekend.
Well, a great defensive stop by his defensive line, the junior, number 32.
Yeah, Zach Philippi. This is an undersized line for, I should say rather, Tupola, tuioti-Tupola for Orem. Undersized, front 7. Really, basically all linebackers that can give you some extra speed, though. And Bowens was already out of bounds before he threw this one up for grabs.
And is there going to be a flag as he gets hit while trying to launch one down? He's looking for it. He's asking for a flag. I don't fault him.
Yeah,
you can always ask, right? If you don't ask, you don't get.
He is going to be hit late.
He was out of bounds.
That's not going to get him to the 15. So neither team has put up points here in the third quarter, and it's not like the Gaels have pulled their starters. As the Gaels now call a timeout as the play clock had dwindled down. When we come back, Orem expecting to get the football back, looking for their opening score here in their second week of the season.
Buy brand new movies instantly with Contour from Cox. They came. They saw. They made it.
Welcome to the Institute of Perfection.
Awkward.
Hello.
Our flaws make us who we are.
Ugly dolls. Purchase movies right from your remote. Download them to go and watch anywhere, anytime on your mobile devices. Start building your digital video library now.
This is the opening drive of the game. Man wide open. Anderson up the middle. Big hole. To the end zone. Nobody can stop him. Intercepted. Down the sideline. Nobody's going to catch him.
we talk about some of your greatest athletes, the first to arrive and the last to leave. Well, that also describes so many high school band members around the country. Oftentimes classes called 0 hour when they show up before the sun even shows up at high school during the falls to get ready to perform on Friday nights as well. As we've enjoyed the beat of the drums in the background tonight.
Loved my high school band. Best ever. Ever.
You representing Eastwood High School of El Paso.
Yes, yes. And an area that was unfortunately hit senselessly. But listen, community healing, and we're back in action and excited about high school football and college football coming up. So, yes.
Well, the Gaels line up to punt, called the timeout. Now line up to go for it. And this may help their decision on what was about 4th and 1.
4th and 6.
See if they opt to kick now.
4th and 6. Just a different play call. Slightly different play call.
Uju Tuisavura, we've seen him on offense, defense. Of course, his father, Abu, stepping in as defensive coordinator tonight. Going for it on 4th down. And it'll be Tigers football.
And that pass thrown off the back foot and really to no one. And you don't want to turn the ball over because of an interception. You want to do it on downs.
Tigers are taking exception to a hit that their teammate Vaka Afi took there, and our officials are simply going to separate the two squads and give Orem the football here to bring out their offense.
I'll tell you, no points have been given up, and that's an improvement. You were asking about, what the Orem Tigers would do here in this second half. They've done right on the defensive side of the ball. Now they got to get in the end zone.
Pono rolls left with confidence. And look, these are the same receivers that were having the ball go off their face masks, through their fingertips for their starting quarterback. You can't explain it.
No, you really can't. And it just means, something in the helmet with the person has changed. And
between the ears?
Yes, and that's the concentration level. And it happens to all of us.
They'll confidently move up to midfield. Here on, Vertel gets the handoff. He may lose a foot or two.
You can just recognize by the pileup that the winner of the line of scrimmage there was the navy blue, the dark jerseys.
Well, it was turnovers last year that the Tigers really felt had cost them perhaps that ball game. Just one turnover tonight. It was taken the other way for a touchdown, but that's not your difference. This defense of Bishop Gorman has not let down. And there you talk about double coverage, 2 receivers in the same area. That means you only need to put 1 defender on those 2 men, and that was enough.
Yeah, and especially when the defenders in between both of the receivers. And again, you have to recognize that this Gorman team is led by a head coach that was the defensive coordinator that I could tell the attitude of Coach Sanchez when we had the opportunity to talk with him. A lot of fun. A guy you would want to play for because he's fired up. He is the definition to me of football coach.
That's the dean of students you're talking about.
Well, I'm sure when he's in a tie or whatever he has to wear in that capacity, he's different. But man, he's the Vincent T. Lombardi guy. I like that type of coach. I don't know how well I would have done with the Tom Landry or Don Shula. They just maybe they looked at you and you would have felt bad. But I like the guys that tell you, what the heck's going on around here?
They're going to eyeball this and give the Tigers the first down. Tigers will hurry up to the line to try to keep things moving. No index card needed. Bertel tripped up, and I believe for Bishop Gorman, that was Smith, Ishe Smith, able to stop him.
If Smith doesn't make this stop, there could have been a lot of opportunity in real estate to be acquired in Vegas for Orem. And the thing is, as you mentioned, a very quick and fast Gorman defensive line for front seven.
And again, just nice coverage from Jaden Hicks as the intended receiver, Yokota.
The other thing is the secondary, pretty much all of them have college offers, regardless of classification.
And most of them have several years of eligibility left. That is 3rd and 12 for Orem. Good protection. Has his man. Ball is squeezed in for the first down. Jackson Williams keeps the drive alive.
This is a great route. And the presence of your senior quarterback to get the ball in the air and to the receiver on the break. You're not throwing him open. You're just giving an opportunity to make a pitch and catch and run after the catch.
Williams, 8 catches last week against Corner Canyon for 65 yards, including a long of 19. Got what he needed there. They're giving Pono extra protection there in the backfield, and he'll hand off to one of those 2 backs with Tuioti-Mariner handling it this time.
Good little shifty move coming towards the Gorman bench, and anything to get the ball into the red zone gives this Orem Tigers offense some hope and opportunity, you know, because again, you don't want to go back to Utah with no points. You want to have learning opportunities and a drive that you can say was successful.
Here on. Down the middle. Incomplete, but there may be a defensive interference call.
And again, that ball was kind of lollipopped a little. If it would have been a little sooner, there could have been an opportunity for a clean catch. But I think the penalty here and the defensive secondary is going to give Orem an opportunity.
So this will set up an automatic first down.
And the other thing, let's just, ooh.
That is some pretty good coverage from Fabian Ross. He may not have seen the football, but timed it pretty close. And I think just the fact that his eyes weren't looking back will be what cost him.
Well, looking at the replay, he just runs through and over the receiver who had an opportunity to make a catch a tad bit early.
Looking for their first score of the night. The captain, Paulson, with another grab, this time for 6.
Nice pitch and catch. And the crossing routes, one of my favorite routes to get receivers open, especially underneath where they can run after the catch. And even a big guy like the tight end can rumble into the end zone. And that's about a 13 or 14 yard play for a touchdown. But you got to run after the catch about 11 yards.
This is Moses Ruiz, 2 for 2 this year on extra points. Of course, both of those coming last week. And he splits the uprights for the first time tonight in Nevada. So don't look now, but Orem with the only points of the second half in their column, as they have trimmed it back within 3 scores with a full quarter to go. And Moses Ruiz handles the extra points and the shorter kicks. We saw Travis Thompson attempt the field goal earlier. And for a guy who wasn't supposed to be a factor tonight, and Noah Sewell with his foot still in a boot, he is still trying to factor in every other way possible, firing up his teammates.
You got to like the motivation for pretty much your inspirational spirit leader, whatever you want to say. He's the guy when he comes back out of that boot, and he's just trying to get his team going, especially after a touchdown. And he would he'd clearly be a difference maker for the Orem Tigers. It's just, you know, you have to play smart in the season. You'd love to have him go against Gorman and test, you know, such a good team, especially on the road.
Obviously, Tigers fans, the Orem community wishes that he were healthy and ready to go. But I'll tell you, perhaps nobody wanted him to be available tonight more than opposing head coach Kenny Sanchez, just out of respect for what Noah is able to do on defense and on offense. Right. Really knew that it would be that much more of a battle for Coach Sanchez's Gaels tonight.
Right. Nonetheless, with or without, you know, a blue chip 5-star, I guess we don't say blue chip anymore. It's antiquated language for student athletes. Gorman doing a heck of a job against this Orem Tigers team. But Orem hanging in now, and they're the only ones who have scored points in the second half.
As Bowens and the Gaels have had a turnover on downs as well as a punt. That play has to be blown dead. No more Jason Witten highlights. As the moment that helmet comes off, the play is over. As Odunze with his, I believe, second grab tonight.
And a good pitch and catch. And that chin strap needs to be tight, because you don't want to see the helmet come off that easily with the play that wasn't a big thud and collision in the secondary.
So Rome has to come off the field, but still plenty of talent for Bowens to work with spread out.
Bowen doesn't seem to be aggravated by the ankle that had a little giddy up in his gait. It seems like Orem playing a little bit more inspired, getting into the backfield and disrupting, you know, the rushing lanes and just executing on offense, getting into the end zone, getting the extra point. This is what I think, unfortunately, Coach Hill has to, you know, at least be happy about for his team, even though he's not on the sidelines.
Bowens quickly. Odunze back on the field, back in business with the catch. This is an offensive line for Bishop Gorman where you have a 6'3" sophomore at right tackle, Jake Taylor, a 6'5" senior at left tackle, and Hayden Engel, who's leading the way for you. And with plenty of offers coming in to play at the next level. Your left guard, a senior, right guard, a sophomore at 6'3" and 6'1" respectively, anchored by Alex Rodriguez at center. 3 quarters in the books. The third quarter belonged to your state champions from Utah, the Tigers, factoring in with their first score tonight. Able to hit the tight end as Paulson found pay dirt.
When our military answers the call, they aren't the only ones who sacrifice. See the emotion of deployments, reunions, and hear their personal stories. This is the day they come home. This is Homecoming. Watch Homecoming Sunday at 9:30 p.m. with replays on Monday at 7, Tuesday at 10:30, and Saturday at 9:30. Homecoming on your view. Join Jane Manzuras on Creative Living as she shares fun and inspiring ideas for enriching your life.
I'm Jane Manzuras, and on the next Creative Living, it's back to school time. We'll have tips to ease you back into the school year.
Plus, we hop in a Subaru to visit Dig This Las Vegas, where we try out a completely different kind of ride. Watch Creative Living Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday on your view. Brought to you by Subaru of Las Vegas.
Buy brand new movies instantly. Buy brand new movies instantly. Buy brand new movies instantly. Buy brand new.
Well, it is hard to duplicate the sights and sounds of high school football on a Friday night, especially the season opener. And the man who's right down in the heart of it all on this Friday evening, our sideline reporter tonight, John Castanino. Let's check back in with John.
Guys, with that first score of the second half, the Orem sidelines coming alive. Finally some energy on this side of the field from the crowd and the players. Clearly the rallying cries going out. And then when you talk about the other side, Kenny Sanchez, we know he's an animated guy, entering his 5th year here as Gorman head coach. And he's been animated on the sidelines during that last drive, throwing his scripts, yelling at his players to tighten up, and maybe a little nerves coming out here, depending on the outcome of this drive, guys.
And meanwhile, Barfield rattles off that great run. And 5 years head coach, 6 years as an assistant under his brother. Still has his other brother, Bobby, on staff. It has been a family business for the Sanchezes.
Barksdale and Ragsdale. Barfield and Ragsdale.
Those are your attorneys?
Yes.
Bowens will keep it.
Good decision.
Up the middle. That ankle seems to be doing just fine.
Well, I think he may have got tweaked it right when you said that.
You can send your letters to your view.
He's going to have to come out of the game. And my question is, the tape is around the shoes, but you truly, especially playing on field turf or AstroTurf or anything like that, Lincoln, you need the tape on the actual skin on the ankle. The covering that's on those cleats are not enough. The athlete moves too much in the sock to not have I'm just giving him some free legal.
Bishop Gorman's going to call a timeout. Your backup quarterback is Josh Andrade, who is a sophomore. We'll have more on that when we come back. Timeout from Bishop Gorman, looking for their first point still the second half, up by 3 scores.
You're watching Game Time on Your View. For more in-depth coverage of the top players around, recruiting updates, behind-the-scenes access, and more, check out yourview.com.
Explore the Southwest lifestyle, the culture, the music, the food, y más. Join hosts J.R. Cardenas and Vanessa Ramirez for a Southwest adventure on Subida. Travel the state, enjoy the food, discover new artists, and fun things to do. Every week, JR and Vanessa share their discoveries with you.
Watch Subida every Sunday and Wednesday only on Your View and yourview.com. You're watching Game Time on Your View. For more in-depth coverage of the top players around, recruiting updates, behind-the-scenes access, and more, check out yourview.com.
Plenty to cheer about in that opening half for Bishop Gorman when they found all 27 of their points. Orem answered with 7 in the third. Fourth quarter underway. Lincoln Rose, Steve Foster, John Castanino with you. It's Game Time on Your View. Our game of the week brings us to Las Vegas, Nevada, home of the defending 10-time, that's 10 straight state titles in Nevada for Bishop Gorman, including 3 national championships during that run, up against the team that's captured state titles in each of the last 2 years next door in Utah, Orem High School. As Barfield gets the carry. Again, the backup quarterback is Josh Andrade. The expected backup quarterback transferred out for an opportunity for more playing time elsewhere. So Andrade is your man backing up Bowens. Bowens on the sidelines right now. Again, a little hobbled after a couple of runs.
Well, I'm just going to say, I started shaving my ankles and legs before I did my face, and that was because of getting those ankles.
This is when you played?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if we had already delved into that material on the back page in the fourth quarter.
Oh, no.
Hand off. Yeah, you want that point of contact for the tape directly on the ankles?
Yes. It's the best way. You know, it ensures the most prevention, as the ankle is so important to all athletes.
Again, Andrade has so much talent around him. Let's see if he is obligated to put one in the air here on 3rd and 4.
He is not.
Joined by Barfield in the backfield. Bobbled football, that's a fumble. Quarterback falls on it, but it'll be 4th down.
They take it, the opportunity to see if they can kick the field goal, or maybe what Andrade does on 4th and.
Let's check in with John.
Yeah, update on Mike Bones, guys. It looks like cramping in both calves. He's got 2 trainers working on both of his legs right now, so we'll see if this turns into something long-term. We'll monitor it, but clearly Gorman having to go to the backup because of cramping for Micah Bones.
Again, that backup is Andrade, has yet to put the ball in the air. Recovered the fumble, setting up 4th and 5. Only attempted 3 field goals all of last year. Will throw it to the end zone, and it'll be a tad long. Odunze, the intended target. And it's another turnover on downs forced by this Tigers defense to end the threat from Bishop Gorman.
And a good supporting block by the running back Cam Barfield to at least get the ball downfield to possibly be caught. And you take the shot there as a running back, but that's what you have to do. You have to step into the gap there, either the A, B, or C gap, and take on a bigger defender that is charging against your quarterback.
That was tuioti-Mariner, the aforementioned defender, who still forced the throw a little prematurely. Sidestep here on. How about that arm on display? The ball is not caught, but Pono ranging to his left fires that one down. Just could not connect again with his tight end.
Well, the thing is, too, you just don't get as much on the football when you throw it going opposite your dominant way to go. Being a right-hander, you want to go not to your left, you want to go to your right. You can put more zip on the ball, Lincoln.
That's why I was so impressed with how far he was able to throw that with such a quick release. Fabian Ross was the man in coverage. A couple of Tigers in the area, but incomplete.
That was the right choice to see if you could get the ball to Jackson Williams, but the pressure by Gorman up the middle as the quarterback slides doesn't allow the feet to get set, and the ball just sails a little bit out of the reach of a potentially open receiver. You can get all that when you have a replay. I think I saw it the first time, but I'm sure I see it the second and third.
Those shiny new lids and these new uniforms unveiled again this morning to the team for Bishop Gorman. And a sack as 3 different Gaels all converge on Giron. They will give credit, at least in part, to Cyrus Moss.
Yeah, and again, Coach Sanchez mentioned, even though I have 3 defenders up front, having 4 that can move around, even if you keep 2 in the middle, a left and a right middle linebacker, the strong and the weak side linebackers are so flexible, they can put a lot of pressure on the backfield.
Singh with another great punt. Odunze has been fairly quiet as a receiver, trying to make an impact in the return game. Flag comes out as the entire special teams photo poses around Odunze on that stop.
I like that, Link. A lot of dancing, but not for any good yardage. And then throwing the hanky, you're going to be actually on your side of midfield.
Well, Kenny Sanchez's defense for the Gaels at least able to pick up after their offense had struggled the last drive to convert with the backup quarterback. Quickly got the ball back for the offense here. Nothing doing for Rome on the return.
Good pursuit by the special teams of the Orem Tigers to corral and then just walk down the return man. You can't go in there all of the, if it's me, when I have the ability to return the ball. I wanted somebody coming out of, because it's an easier move to get away from them. It's football judo. Let their speed and coming out of control, just sidestep them and keep going.
Use their own energy against them. Atticus McCollum with the tackle for the Tigers. And just more hard running. Barfield off to the races. Tasting the end zone for a second time tonight.
Great run. And again, Cam Barfield, we saw it earlier when he went A-gap on the right side, closer to his sideline, then came and looped back around and got tremendous yardage before he was blasted a little bit by Joe Smith. But here, he says, no more Joe Smith, no more Orem Tigers. I'm going to make it a foot race after I come blasting out of the left side of the offensive line. And just great continual push by Gorman on the offensive side of the ball to give a guy like number 3 Cam Barfield an opportunity.
I want to make a golf reference. That one off the mark. You see the 61-yard touchdown run has him now talking about 100 yards on opening night. Everybody knows where the cameras are.
Great effort, though. Great effort.
Again, if for some reason he took the night off, there are 2 more talented young men waiting in the wings to carry that rock.
And you gotta just like the effort, again, to keep the legs churning. And the other thing, Lincoln, is you want to have your shoulder pads square to the line of scrimmage, because that gives you the biggest ability to use force. And again, I'm not trying to have a physics class, but it just allows for you to keep your body lean and the momentum attacking into the defensive secondary.
One more look. It should have been about a 3-yard gain.
Well, the legs are churning, the shoulders are square, and then when you see the crease, make it a foot race. Sideline Express found by number 3, Cam Barfield.
Once the DJ put on the music, Cam Hunterton's on the sidelines for Bishop Gorman, just showing off his dance moves, feeling the flow. A great story of a young man who played football freshman year, walked away from the sport for the past 2 years, but wanted to be a part of it in his senior campaign. Back when he was a freshman, he'd only won 8 state titles.
It's not his fault.
At this point, you just try to hope for some magic on the return, but the Gaels stay disciplined, and it'll be 1st and 10 from the 20 for Orem, and it's back to a 3-score deficit after the Gaels finally found points here in the second half.
And they did it, just grinding things out. Good old-fashioned off-tackle play to the left, their near sideline, and number 3 Cam Barfield has been doing it all evening, and he, as mentioned, he gets a 6-footer from 2 yards out, and then now 61. That's a lot more feet. Hundreds of feet.
Get the abacus out.
184.
Again, you bring in the backup quarterback and every ball is being caught, whether it's a big gain or not. Jacob Robinson, who had some issues in the first half, squeezes that one in.
183. Where did I get 84 from? But I tell you what, they love it when you call me Big Papa.
Enjoying the music selection here at Fertitta Field.
An all-time favorite, Link.
2nd and 5 for the Tigers with their backup quarterback in. Taking over at the end of the first half, almost leading the Tigers to a score, but really ran out of time, had to attempt a long field goal try, which was no good. But some bright spots with Pono in as your signal caller.
52 yards is far for anyone, Lincoln. Anyone. Been a great night. As you mentioned, football season is here.
With the shadows, you're reminded we are at the mercy of the lights here on Friday night. almost everything is being cut.
That could have been another.
That was supposed to be a brother-to-brother connection. Pono to Kane.
And this ball is where it needs to be again. And it almost winds up in the hands of a secondary player from Gorman.
Got the twins in Kane and Kame. Kahala Hiron.
Zion Branch almost caught that one.
And their brother, older by a year, Pono at quarterback. Singh to punt.
So he's a good-looking defensive lineman. You know, he may not be the best punter, but he's effective. Keeps the ball low and lets it run.
That is where the Gaels will set up. They are in the driver's seat in their season opener at home tonight here in Las Vegas. Fourth quarter, midway through, closing in on that opening win.
With Cox high-speed internet, you get access to super fast in-home Wi-Fi to power all your devices and do the things you love online. And now, when you're traveling, you have free access to the nation's largest Wi-Fi network with over 500,000 hotspots, so you can stay connected in places such as New York City, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Phoenix, and many more. Learn how with the Cox Discover More video series at cox.com/learn.
Buy brand new movies instantly with Contour from Cox.
Not gonna have black kids going to Tim's school, so I don't get in my way.
I'm gonna get in your way. What you so afraid of?
What trouble you been causing?
You know me, that's just what I do.
The best of enemies.
Purchase movies right from your remote. Download them to go and watch anywhere, anytime on your mobile devices. Start building your digital video library now.
You're watching Game Time on YourView. For more in-depth coverage of the top players around, recruiting updates, behind-the-scenes access, and more, check out YourView.com.
Five and a half to go here in the fourth quarter. Game Time on YourView. As Bishop Gorman leading the state champions from Utah. I believe he's running with one shoe. One shoe on and one sock for Odunze. Down to the 20.
And I'm going to give you an old school Scarface. Guess who's back? And that would be number 1, Micah Bowens. And
those are some of those new Jordans they got this morning as the Jump brand, the new uniform.
So when you hydrate, and there was a hydration break. It wasn't a timeout, it was a hydration break. And Micah Bowens back as the signal caller.
Bowens, as reported by John Castellino, is battling some cramps, and that's understandable early in the season with this heat.
That's desert heat.
You'd understand, though, if he simply is handing the ball off the rest of the way. There are plenty of other talented men who can carry the football. See J.J. Bewire come on, the backup tight end. And back to the I formation. Flirting with the red zone. Popping out to the left side. Touchdown saving stop by Colton Brown Dye as he hauls down Ragsdale.
Ragsdale knows exactly how to get to the sideline express. And I love the stiff arm to keep the defender away from his body. He gets tackled eventually, but 1, it's enough for a first down, and 2, you don't have to take that initial blow coming from a secondary guy with a running start to, you know, take you out.
Ragsdale last year averaged almost 6 yards a carry. Is only going to have a chance to run for 5 yards potentially here. On 1st and goal, we stopped about 1.5 yards shot.
Tell you, he initiated the contact going through the B gap there, but just too much defense to stop him from getting into the end zone, but I love the physicality from 6 as he runs between the tackles.
Bishop Gorman threatening. Let's check in with John.
Yeah, Romo Dunze, you guys saw it. I saw it. Lost his shoe on that play. He came back to the sidelines. That patent leather on the side of those Jordans, pretty glaring, but all he did was shrug his shoulders. This was not a Zion Williamson shoe malfunction, guys.
But it is a blowout. A handoff. And there is your 3rd rushing touchdown of the night for this offense. Ragsdale with his first trip into the end zone.
And a great move and a quick move to get into the end zone. Go 6 for 6.
11 touchdowns last year for Ragsdale as a junior. First of his senior campaign.
Nice little cut to the left. And good blocking up front. But again, all you need is a quick seam. Pick up 6 feet.
Again, Hamika, we mentioned, a little hobbled in practice. Comes on for the extra point, where he was 68 of 70 last year. It's a night where Bowens has thrown 2 touchdowns, each time finding the freshman and Zachariah Branch. And now his tailbacks have accounted for 3 more, 2 for Barfield and Ragsdale joining the fun. And now 2 second-half scores for Bishop Gorman give the Gaels their largest lead of the night.
Freshman, as you mentioned, Branch, he was the first act. And then you got...
He's going to benefit from a lot of defenses focusing on Odunze.
You're absolutely right. And what an explosive playmaker Zachariah Branch. It showed, I think, the most entertaining and the one that really shows how devastating he's going to be as a football player was the punt return. Even though it came back, Lincoln, no one really could stay with him, and his shiftiness and his ability to go sideline to sideline, still turn the corner and have a whole bunch in the tank to just outrace everybody. That's scary as a freshman.
Again, both these teams go right back to work next week as Orem will welcome back head coach Jeremy Hill to the sidelines. They will still have a very manageable schedule ahead of them, although they have moved up at their own request to classification. So each Friday will be a bit more challenging, they would hope, than last year, as they will try to punch a ticket back to the postseason and try to pursue their first title at the next level. And they'll bring it out to the 25-yard line. Again, certainly enjoyed our opportunity to talk with both head coaches. Each very easy to see how the players respond to them and their styles, their knowledge, their experience, and of course their success that they have each respectively had with their 2 programs.
Well, the thing is, Lincoln, the players have bought in to what they are implementing for their program, and the teams that do that usually have more success than others. Gotta have talent too.
Bono throws a dart, hauled in by Jackson Williams.
I tell you, we had a preseason game that was similar to this a couple of times in high school, and the net result were district championships later on and being able to move through the playoffs because of playing quality competition early.
If we were playing on Saturdays, they might review that last catch. It'll stand here, and they will go right back to Williams for another grab.
He just wanted folks to know that if you thought I didn't catch that one, listen, I clearly caught this one. So
that's the way it works.
Work with me on that previous one. I caught that prior one as well. And a good receiver. And the Orem Tigers are going to be in contention again, as they intend to be. 1, when they get their head coach back from a silly suspension, and then 2, as they move through regular season play.
I thought 2 was going to be Noah Sewell.
Well, that's a given.
I mean, it's right there on the roster.
It is too, but it's something that is a standard. Thank goodness for this Orem Tiger high school football team that will welcome number 2 back with open arms. They'll probably give him a root beer float, whatever he wants. Big protein shake. He's going to be a guy that is going to make a huge impact in Utah.
We had a blood issue prompting the change at right tackle for Orem. And coming in to make sure that there was not going to be a catch made is Keanu Kikawa.
Nice close by that free safety, as you mentioned, wearing number 40. Is that an old
Bill
Blackwood?
Bates?
Yeah, but is it Bill Bates 40? Gosh, I'm losing it. I was going Blackwood Brothers. I thought they had 40, but either way, you're right.
They both wore 40?
No, only one.
Oh no. This time finally just has to squeeze that ball and head down to the turf. And the Gaels have made another stop. Getting closer to improving to 1-0 on the season are the Gaels of Bishop Gorman. For the Orem Tigers, an 0-2 start won't tell the full story. They went up last week against a team of a higher classification, also state champs in Utah this week, a team that is often in the conversation for national championships, and the last 10 state titles along the way here in Nevada out of 4A.
Bill Bates, number 40, Dallas Cowboys. I'm almost ashamed. Almost. And 40.
It's all coming together now.
It is all. I was number 40.
Folks, we remind you to take a look at the Game Time on Your View schedule, as around the country some great matchups this fall, and they'll be streaming right here on Your View. And of course, for those of you with Cox Cable. And this is, for most coaches, the favorite formation.
V is for victory.
Micah Bowens will finish this game. Had 2 touchdown tosses in his first game as a senior, after leading them to a state title last year as a junior. You see the sportsmanship. Both teams shake hands. Tigers know that this one is going to elude them. They'll have a chance to bounce back next week emphatically with Coach Jeremy Hill, a former Tiger in his own right. But Kenny Sanchez's Gaels are going to start 2019 1-0, and that's all you can ask. Offense and defense already mid-season form.
They looked awfully good, Lincoln Rose, and you know, having fun on a Friday night, especially with an inspirational coach like Kenny Sanchez, and he and his coaching staff getting the opportunity at home to get a victory.
When we come back to Las Vegas, a chat with the victorious Gaels here on the campus of Bishop Gorman.
You're watching Game Time on Your View. For more in-depth coverage of the top players around, recruiting updates, behind-the-scenes access, and more, check out yourview.com.
This is the opening drive of the game. Man wide open. Anderson up the middle. Big hole. To the 30, to the 20. Battling his way to the end zone. Nobody can stop him. Intercepted. Down the sideline. Nobody's going to catch him.
It's season 3 of Closet Factory's Operation Reorganization.
If you need an organizational solution, this is it.
See how Closet Factory designers turn the ordinary into something extraordinary.
Probably one of the best investments we've made thus far.
See amazing before and afters with all great design ideas. designed around smarter storage and organization. See how Closet Factory builds solutions for every room. Operation Reorganization Season 3, only on Your View.
Buy brand new movies instantly with Contour from Cox.
Who am I?
You were the most advanced weapon ever. She's threatening the natural order of things.
I do not stand by in the presence of evil.
Alita Battle Angel. Purchase movies right from your remote. Download them to go and watch anywhere, anytime on your mobile devices. Start building your digital video library now.
You're watching Game Time on Your View. For more in-depth coverage of the top players around, recruiting updates, behind-the-scenes access, and more, check out yourview.com.
40-7 final score. Bishop Gorman victorious against the state champions from across the state border over in Utah as Orem High came to town for a second straight year. The Gaels get the better of the exchange. Next up for Bishop Gorman, you just feel sorry for these guys. Cannot catch a break. They're going to have to catch a plane out to Hawaii for next weekend's clash against Hawaiian Power and National Power St. Louis, as it'll be a tough battle to improve to 2-0, but a great test for Kenny Sanchez's squad. In just a moment, we'll have a chance to talk to, well, one of the newest members of varsity, a new member of this tradition for Bishop Gorman, a man who got in the end zone twice. I think I've given enough hints, as in a moment we'll have a chance to check in with Coach Sanchez and his talented freshman receiver. But first, Coach Sanchez addressing his Gaels. It's been a long day. It started unveiling what uniform they were going to get to wear. Brought out the new duds. They did not disappoint with a convincing victory tonight in a clash of powerhouses.
Absolutely, Lincoln. And, you know, hats off to Orem Tigers. They came back in the second half and played better. But this Gorman team is going to do well this season.
Well, among the many highlights tonight, how about Cam Barfield never giving up? Number 3 goes off for 61 yards for the touchdown on a century performance in the season opener. One of his 2 trips into the end zone, as this offense was clicking through the air and on the ground. Of course, through the air is Micah Bowens, the Penn State commitment. He'll be in Happy Valley next year, but he's enjoying his time in Las Vegas for his senior lap this year. A couple of touchdown tosses. His head coach, Kenny Sanchez, is with John.
Zach, you're referee.
Hey, Kenny Sanchez, so much for a slow start in this one. You guys come out blazing.
Yeah, no, we started off really good. I mean, on both sides of the ball, right? I think it was 27-0 in the first quarter. And then, you know, kudos to Orem. They're a good program. They're 2-time defending Florida State champions. And they hung right in there and they settled down. And, you know, I don't know so much as we played bad as, you know, they just showed that they're a good football team.
Yeah, we talked about this before the game, but only 7 days in full pads before your first game here. So tell us a little bit about the learning process as well here in game 1.
Yeah, you know, football is like that for your entire year, right? I mean, it's hard to duplicate, you know, playing against a good team in practice and, you know, having such limited time in pads. You just hope you come out here and play well. And I thought for where we're at, we played really well. Obviously, there's some things that we need to fix, but, you know, everything's a learning process. Is why we come in, we watch film, we try to get better.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck in Honolulu. Zach Branch with us. Zach. All right, so you guys had an amazingly fast start, and you had a great start to this one. How was that possible?
Well, we had a game plan in the beginning of the game, and our team, we just stayed focused. We did our assignments, and we came out with a W.
Amazing debut for you, amazing debut for Gorman. How much energy are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling real pumped. We take 1 week at a time, and I'm ready for next week. We're St. Louis. We're coming for y'all.
Yeah, trip to Honolulu.
Yes, sir.
I know, I'm sure you haven't been thinking or trying not to think about it. How excited are you and the guys?
I'm so excited to have the experience to play in a college stadium. Just playing with this team, having the camaraderie with this team is just a great opportunity.
All right, thanks, Zach. Zach Branch, guys, back to you.
Yeah, that is freshman Zach Branch, and that is ridiculous just how impressive that young man is, not just as an athlete, but so composed there in the post-game interview as well.
Well, when you did what he did, which is score 2 touchdowns by receiving and also having the opportunity, even though it did not count on a punt return, you know, he's going to be a big compliment to what you see on this offensive side of the ball that's led by a defensive coach. That's what you want. You want an explosive offense that has a defensive-minded overall effect.
Two state champions collided tonight in Las Vegas. All the best to the Tigers and Gaels moving forward while pursuing gold again in 2019. For our entire Your View crew, Steve Foster, John Castanino, I'm Lincoln Rose. Good night from Las Vegas.